All right, we are live, Bartow.
Boom! It's the Scotch Test Dummies, and we're getting ready to test it. What style are we going here, Scotty?
Little Dalmore style. How's that? And a little fundraising for the American Nurses Association.
We got a lot of social distancing, but even though the social distancing is going on, we're actually coming together from all over the place.
Yep. And glad to say, Dalmore was willing to pair with us on this and assist in our endeavor. And I'm going to bring in Jenny Wren.
Boom.
There she comes. There she is.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, welcome.
I'm so glad to be here. What a pleasure.
So, couple things for those tuning in. Minimum $10 donation gets you registered for a Dalmore gift bag from Bart and I. It's going to have lots of goodies in it. And like I say, minimum $10 donation to scotchtestdummies@gmail.com. And you're automatically entered. My wife is off camera here. She's tracking my PayPal donation, our PayPal donations as they come in. I'll also keep everybody updated as we go, kind of as those that have come in. 100% of what we raise is going to the American Nurses Association to help them in this critical time.
Right. Yep. And again, so your PayPal one more time, just so they know that they're PayPaling. What's the Gmail again?
It's on the screen. It's down at the bottom, scrolling through there. scotchtestdummies@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Super chat's the same. Super chat is enabled. We would prefer the PayPal donations. YouTube keeps 30% of the super chats. Generally what happens though, Bart and I will, we fill in that 30%. So, what else will happen is after we get done with the Dalmore tasting, we've got the 12-year on deck, the 15-year, 18-year, Portwood, Cigar Malt, King Alexander, and the 25-year.
Hello.
Once we're done, we got a couple of auction items as well, including a complete set of our coins, cask 1 through 5, with our 5th anniversary coin as well. We've got a set of Roy Aquavitae's coins to auction off as well, and a kind of a Scotch Test Dummy merchandise bag as well of all of our glasses and dropper set.
And you've already got Erwin jumping in there on a super chat.
Erwin with a super chat. Very nice, Erwin. Thank you very much.
So let's go back to Jenny here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jenny, and how you got to where you're at.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, guys. And I do want to give a second shout out to our doctors and nurses and medical technicians on the front line. They are doing the good work. So I'm happy to be here supporting your cause. That being said, some people who have seen me before talk on your specific live feed know a little bit about me, but I'll give you a quick overview. When I was 18, I went to New York City to be an actress. I kind of fell into spirits, and I fell into spirits tasting, and I began doing specifically whiskey tasting right about 2008, 2009. I first spoke to the whiskeys of LVMH, which are Glenmorangie and Ardbeg, and then that led to a complete love affair with single malt. And I've been doing it ever since. And tasting whiskey has taken me all over the world, technically away from acting, but one could argue a little bit that a lot of what we do as single malt specialists is in front of people. So you can imagine that that acting career informed it quite a bit.
Good, yeah, and well, and we met you through Tracy Franklin.
Yes, sir. The amazing Tracy Franklin, Whiskey Ambassador of the Year for Glenfiddich. We are still very close friends, and she said she'd be out there watching tonight.
We just had a $200 PayPal come in also. I'll just say from Paul. I don't know if he wants his whole name mentioned or not.
Holy moly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a great way to start.
Wow. That is a wonderful start. I'm very excited by that. I'm very excited to see how much you guys raised tonight.
Woo! Thank you, Paul.
So I joined the Dalmore team in August of last year, and I had shared something with you right before we come in the broadcast. I have something terrible to admit. It's really terrible. I am the only person currently on the single malt team that has not gotten to visit our distilleries because I was scheduled to visit them 2 weeks ago and my trip got canceled. So I don't know when I will actually get to set foot in our beautiful distillery or visit the island of Jura, but I'm certainly hoping that it is sooner than later because I hear nothing but good things. I also know a couple of our worldwide ambassadors or single malt specialists are watching tonight from all over. We have some people in Europe that are tuning in. We have some people in Asia that are tuning in and some people that are staying up pretty darn late to tune in and watch this. So, hey guys, Team Superstars, the best team in the world. It's really good to see you.
Now, Dalmore is up close to Inverness, is it not?
Yeah, I was going to talk about 2 things, actually. I am sipping on a very hearty pour of the Dalmore 12-year-old, which is where we're going to be starting our vertical tasting tonight. And then also I was going to clue you guys into a little bit of the history of Dalmore and how we got our start in the world. I do want to say this is a vertical tasting, and even though some of the whiskeys we're going to taste at the end are no age statements, we are moving up in age every whiskey that we taste. So that's a little clue to tell you about the range that those whiskeys fall into. So tonight we're going to be tasting the Dalmore 12, the Dalmore 15, the Dalmore 18, the Dalmore Cigar Malt, the Dalmore Portwood, the Dalmore King Alexander, and we're finishing the night off with the head of education, Craig Bridger, tasting the Dalmore 25. So yeah, to answer your question, the Dalmore Distillery is located just about 20 miles north of Inverness. So we are in the high highlands, and we are right on the shore of the Alness River, leading to the Cromarty Firth. And the Alness River is our water source, and it runs all the way down from the mountains, down through the River Alness, and then out into the Cromarty Firth and to the North Sea. So you might notice tonight, if you're sipping a Dalmore along with myself and the Scotch Test Dummies, there is a little bit of a maritime influence, a little bit of a saltiness that kind of makes its way through all of our whiskeys. And that comes from the exposure to the winds from the ocean, because many of our warehouses are right there by the ocean. So they're getting that salty air passing by. The Dalmore 12 that I'm currently sipping on, guys, I think you have a sample in front of you, right?
I do. We do.
Awesome. Yeah. Very, very cool. So you'll have to chime in and tell me what you think. But the Dalmore 12 that I'm sipping on starts its life, its first 9 years of maturation in ex-bourbon American oak. These are first fill casks. And it's going to have all of those qualities that any single malt will have coming from an ex-bourbon. It's going to get the vanillas, the sweetness, the brightness, right? And all the Dalmores we're going to try tonight do start their life in first fill ex-bourbon American oak. This particular whiskey is then divided just about in half. So about 50% remains in that first fill ex-bourbon American oak, and about 50% is then moved into a very special cask. And the reason I say very special is you're going to hear this a lot tonight. The special cask is a 30-year-old Methuselah ex-Oloroso sherry cask from the González Bayat bodega in Jerez de la Frontera, Spain. Wow. And that is something that is completely exclusive to the Dalmore.
I need Bart to repeat all that.
I love the rolling of the R's. My spouse from Puerto Rico would be thrilled with your pronunciation.
Thank you, sir. I had a lot of tutelage from one of my fellow specialists who's coming on later, Cristian Olave, in how to properly pronounce the Spanish that we use when we talk about our bodegas. But I'm going to take you back in history for just 1 second. And when you think about the Dalmore, a lot of people know that our distillery was founded in 1839 by a gentleman named Alexander Matheson. But Alexander Matheson was actually a speculator in the Opium Wars. So I have a lot of thoughts about how that gentleman made his money. I'll encourage you to look that up at some point. I believe, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but the real golden age of the Dalmore starts in 1867 when Charles and Andrew Mackenzie purchased our distillery from Alexander Matheson. And the reason is Charles and Andrew Mackenzie were some of the first people to ever import sherry from southern Spain into Scotland for the specific use of finishing single malt. They were real trendsetters. And because of that relationship, they were well versed in the sherry trade. So in 1915, they signed an agreement with the González Bayat bodega that created an exclusive contract, which means that the Dalmore is the only single malt to this day, over 100 years later, that is allowed to use these rare sherry casks. Most whiskeys out there are having to do sort of a rinse and repeat process, and that's simply because the desire for sherry finished whiskey has outpaced the ability for sherry makers to season casks. But we get this exclusive use to these beautiful, beautiful casks, and it's something that when you try the Dalmore 12, which is the flagship of everything we're trying tonight, you notice the nuance and the distinction and the rich characteristics of these sherry notes that are a little bit different than what we consider a modern sherry bomb, for lack of a better phrase.
Sure. Yeah, much more nuanced. I wouldn't call it a sherry bomb at all.
It's very soft, very friendly. Our master distiller, Richard Patterson, if you haven't heard of him, I highly recommend looking him up online, The Nose. He always likes to say that our whiskeys are friendly and approachable. There's nothing about them that's going to be too angular or aggressive. And
he throws them around.
Yes, he sure does. I'm not doing a Richard tonight. My floors, I don't have time to de-stickify them, so I'm gonna keep them clean.
That was right.
Now, I'll tell you, it's been a while since I've had the 12. It is very nice. And like I say, it's been a while since I've gone back to it. Kind of surprising. But I remember the first time I had Dalmore 12, and it was early on in my whiskey journey. But it was the first whiskey I remember where that sherry influence, where I got those dark notes. You know, it was like a toffee and coffee, and those dark fruit notes were showing and coming out. It was the first whiskey I remember where I was able to detect that.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I think that we often, sort of two thoughts there. We often discount younger whiskeys or what I refer to as flagship whiskeys. You know, the Dalmore 12 is the signature of our house style. It truly is that chocolate orange that you're going to find throughout every whiskey we're going to try tonight. It changes and grows with the different finishing, but the chocolate orange is always omnipresent in the Dalmore. But a lot of times we just throw away those younger whiskeys. We're like, whatever, that's the cheap Dalmore. And it's like, no, that's actually the moment from which every other Dalmore expression it grows or changes. It's the baseline of how we create all the flavors in our whiskey. So when you're drinking the Dalmore 12, you're actually sampling the DNA of where the whiskey is going as it ages and changes with different finishing processes.
Whoa, what is that there, Scott?
$250 from William.
Yes.
And then, and then a few other donations come in there. The Sterling Labor Party, Ron and Eugene. Oh, thank you guys very much.
Oh, way to go, whiskey community. Look
amazing. Well, I did want to also add two more things. You might notice tonight that I not only opened the show, but I presented the Dalmore 12-year-old. And the reason for that is, unfortunately, we were so excited to get our team of superheroes assembled. But Ricky Crawford, the famous, the adored, the man of whiskey that all of us are so thrilled to have on our team, unfortunately had a family emergency, and he had to bow out tonight. So originally, you were supposed to get a handsome man with a Scottish accent presenting the 12-year-old, but you got short little me. And much like the whiskeys, I'm going to continue aging in my career. But I think it almost is time because we do have such an assembly of superheroes. I believe, and it's so funny, I'm doing multiple things at once. You guys might notice. I have Scott and Bart on the big screen. I have your live chat on my little screen, and I'm watching the time, and I'm corresponding with my colleagues. I am a true multitasker. But I'm not sure, is it almost time to bring on our next talented single malt specialist?
It is, and he's in the background, and I'm sending out an invite to the next guest.
Hell yes.
Ben is here, and give me a second here. I'll bring him in.
Let's call out Rob, Whiskey in the Six, also did a super chat for $6.99 as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Rob. There's Ben, and
hi, Ben.
Jenny, I'm going to put you in the background for now. We'll see you again in a little bit.
Thanks, guys.
Your mic is muted, Ben. Let me see. That's on your end. Nope, I got you. There you go.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, I'm enjoying the quarantine life in sunny Florida. So it's tough.
Now, what part of Florida are you in? I have a sister in Tampa.
I'm in Tampa.
There you go. She's a little bit outside, but sweet. Excellent.
I just moved to Tampa literally 2 days ago from Miami. So
beautiful.
I jokingly said I'm moving to the West Coast, and most of the Florida people got it. Nobody else did. That's okay.
100%. 100%. Now, Scott, real quick, I saw Ebhead. Yep, there you go.
Very nice.
Yes, very nice.
Very nice indeed. Well, Jenny's a tough act to follow, but I'll definitely do my best. You know, of course, Ricky, the beautiful Scottish accent. It's I'm going to do my best to do my beautiful Florida accent. So
perfect.
This one. So I'm actually going to talk a little bit about maturation, Dalmore 15, and a little bit of history on the different styles of casks that we use. So you got a nice little sample there ready to go?
I do. Thank you. I'll pour as you chat. Awesome.
So Dalmore's famous for its maturation. You know, every distillery will say, I do something that's unique and different, which in most cases is or is not true. But one thing that Dalmore can definitely say outside of any other major distillery coming from Scotland is sourcing. Sourcing is an incredibly difficult task, especially when you think about how many Scotch whiskeys we drink that have sherry finish or a sherry influence, and how many people out there in the world actually drink true sherry.
That's you're talking dirty to me, Ben. Right
yes, yeah, you're in kids' world.
The three of us definitely enjoy a nice glass of sherry on a regular basis, but the rest of the world doesn't necessarily use or enjoy sherry very much, unfortunately. So to get your hands on those beautiful casks, we actually have a long tradition going back almost 150 years working with González Bias out of Jerez de la Frontera in Spain. Specifically having exclusive access to our 30-year-old Matusalem Oloroso sherry casks, which I actually have a bottle of the actual sherry, the casks that we use in the maturation of almost all of our main line extensions, including the Dalmore 15, which we're going to try right now.
Wonderful.
Dalmore 15 is our house style. It's a really good example of how maturation is used when it comes to Scotch whiskey and also these beautiful sherry casks. Because when you're looking at Dalmore, the heritage definitely goes back a long time using maturation as its kind of its DNA or its footprint. So with this particular whiskey, on the nose itself, you're definitely going to get a lot of orange or citrus characteristics.
So, I haven't had the Dalmore 15 before, and I love the nose on that. The first nosing I took of it.
Mm-hmm. Like now, a lot of orange.
Jenny tasted you on the 12. I actually think this is the best way to start off when you're drinking Dalmore, because it's a great way to open up the palate. It's a great way to kind of really see the soft, beautiful balance that Dalmore brings to the light. So it is actually a little bit, for me, a little bit more of a, well, lack of a better description, a little more feminine approach to Scotch whiskey. When I try this whiskey next to people that are like, I don't do Scotch, every single time they enjoy this whiskey because it is so approachable. It is so universal. Bourbon drinkers like it. Tequila drinkers like it. Scotch whiskey drinkers like it. It's just very, very, very approachable. So this whiskey starts off in ex-bourbon casks for roughly around 12 years. Now that sets in, for at least from my perspective, the DNA, which is going to be a little bit of vanilla, caramel, baking spices, all those beautiful characteristics that we love so much in bourbon. But from there, we take it to that next level where we actually separate it and we put it into three distinctly different casks. Matusalem Oloroso sherry cask, which is this beautiful 30-year-old VORS certified sherry cask. It's actually like cognac is in France. The Quinzega in Jerez de la Frontera actually regulates the amount of time and the regulations in years. So just like in cognac, where you've got a VS, VSOP, XO, in sherry we have the same thing. We've got VOR, VORS, which is very old rare sherry. So this sherry is sitting in casks for roughly no less than 30 years. So you're going to get a lot of beautiful, rich citrus characteristics, dark chocolate notes. You're going to get a whole lot of almost like crushed fresh apples on the actual palate as well. So it is very approachable, very light, very enjoyable. Starting off a little dark chocolate, a little citrus on the nose. You're going to get a little bit of vanilla, ginger, crushed apples on the palates. And of course, the finish, beautiful dark chocolate and coffee. So, bon javog, gentlemen. Appreciate you having me on tonight.
Sláinte, thank you for coming. That is very nice. That's not, I mean, that's my palate right there.
It's if joking aside, when I first started with White and Mackay, I knew 12 and I knew 18 pretty well, but I didn't know so much about 15. So I sat down and I started sending some emails to people, and I started sipping, typing. Before I knew it, I was halfway down the bottle.
Wow.
It catches up to you that quickly. That's easy to drink. And let's just say I've never gone back and checked some of those emails I've sent.
I was going to say, I wouldn't want to be at the end of your email chain on that. No, very nice.
It is. I mean, it's got the sherry notes, but then some of those sweeter fruits, there's more raspberries, even maybe some strawberries and stuff in there as well. A little bit more tropical, almost tropical-ish notes.
Yeah, definitely. And when it comes to maturation, especially using these 30-year-old casks, we have there's a debate constantly in the whiskey world about seasoned casks versus true sherry casks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would say it's kind of like it's like a barbecue. When you do a barbecue, you do a marinade. You may do like 2 minutes. You may do, 15 hours on that marinade. You're going to get two very distinctly different characteristics. It's not saying that one's better than the other. It's just the one that was in the marinade is going to give you a lot more complexity. It's going to get you a lot deeper, richer flavor.
Now, David Schwiebold, I think, was on there. I am digging it. I actually get a little bit of the caramel notes, more from that bourbon cask finish. And then it's more astringent, just meaning a little more dry than the 12, which actually surprised me from the start.
Again, let me cover real quick, just because there's some people that have tuned in since we went live. This is a fundraiser for the American Nurses Association. All of the donations that come in, 100% are going to the ANA. Hopefully it can assist them in these critical times, as we like to say. Mm-hmm. A minimum, if you donate at least $10, you're entered into a Dalmore goodie bag from Bart and I. So right. We'll draw a name on that later. Once we're done with the whiskey tasting and the Dalmore whiskey, we've got a couple items we're going to auction as well, including coin sets, a complete coin set of ours, and aquavitaes as well, and a merchandise gift bag of ours as well. So, and thanks to Dalmore and Ben for assisting us, kind of coming in and helping us with this drive.
And there's
anything that we can do to help. I mean, there's a lot of frontline people out there that are putting their lives on the line, and they're there to help other people. So we need to definitely do our part to support those people.
100%.
I don't know if you saw Alti's comment earlier, and he said he remembered getting a lot of grapefruit on the 15, and that's some of those lighter citrus notes and stuff that are in there as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You're going to get a lot of the almost more of the oil, less the rind. So it's going to be a little bit more aromatic, less on the palate.
And as we see here, Scotch Society 305, he says you're looking sharp. And you're looking sharp.
Tell Drew I said thank you.
And Jimmy Jazz, if you want to highlight, we got another super chat at 20.
Yeah, I'm trying to track the super chats. My wife is she had other plans for tonight. I had to employ her to come in here and track the PayPal donations as they come in.
There we go. Wesley J 25, Juan Q 10. Love it.
Yep. Thanks, guys. And some point here, I'll try to get a total of where we're at anyway. But appreciate all of the donations that are coming in. I mean, there's been a lot of causes out there. There's a lot of people in need right now. And when we were looking for a cause or someone that would be needy of donations, we really thought as many stories as we hear of doctors and nurses on the front lines needing more support. There you go. That's kind of where we rested. So
yeah, and we know a lot of nurses just in our line of work as well, and so we decided we would pick a group that supports those nurses.
Hey, and just Jenny, if you're listening, I sent an email to Alistair. He hasn't come in yet. If you want to, if you can contact him or maybe forward him that link so he gets it, make sure he gets it.
right.
Well, any more questions on the Dalmore 15 I can answer for you?
I don't think so.
Or about
No.
Dalmore in general?
How long have you been with White Mackay?
So White and Mackay going on 3.5, almost 4 years now. So it's been a great journey. Gotten a chance to go to some pretty amazing distilleries in Scotland, working with White and Mackay, as well as going to Jerez and spending some time in Spain, seeing how sherry's produced, sherry's put together, getting certified to actually be a certified sherry specialist. As well as seeing where a lot of these beautiful coopers are that, we see some of these great casks for some major names, including some from White Mackay, some from Edrington, some from William Grant. It's a beautiful process.
Wow, there's another great donation coming in, and Everwind has a question for Ben. Says, do distilleries use an exclusive bourbon cask / brand, or do they mix it up?
Majority mix it up. Majority of the casks that we use, especially with Dalmore, go back to using Heaven Hill casks. A lot of that goes back on the relationship that we've had in the past with different ownerships and different brands that we work with. It's by lucky default that we actually do a lot of our casks using Heaven Hill. But I've walked through some of the warehouses. I've seen a number of different casks from Buffalo Trace to Jack Daniels to Jim Beam. So there generally are a number of other casks that are traditionally at least brought in to do the first set of the maturation. So the beginning.
And then knowing you're in Florida, are you working like just Florida, or do you have more of that southeastern region?
Southeastern region. I do a lot of behind the scenes work as well with some of the other White Mackay brands that we have, including Jura, which is a single malt whiskey in a tiny little island just north of Islay. Working with our blended malts, which we have Shackleton, which is a maturation of 15 or 20 different distilleries that we use from the Highland region in Scotland. Ex-sherry, ex-bourbon, some ex-peated casks as well. And then, of course, our blended whiskey, which is going to be John Barr, which is actually one of the few blended whiskeys in the $20 price point that actually does a sherry finish.
Very nice. Very nice. Now we got Ron's Wood Turning Shop says, can retired guys work for Dalmore? He wants in on your gig.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Why not? The more the merrier. We'll take everybody at this point. One thing I love about Scotch whiskey is it's one giant family.
You bet. You bet. Look at this. Some more donations coming in. Terry, Brandon B. Thanks to both of you guys. Or gals. Thank you. Guess not gals, but it could be. Who knows?
It's like we're approaching $1,000 too, total.
Holy moly.
Not bad. 30 minutes in, $1,000 in. I like it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, let's see. Scott, you see any other questions coming in? It's been scrolling by too fast for me to catch any single one. If you close your eyes, what is this, Ron? Oh, so this is Ron. He says if you close his eyes, he looks like
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. Only if you close your eyes.
Ben makes me feel a little underdressed. I can tell you that.
Oh, completely.
Yeah. I've been sitting inside a little too long. I'm looking for any excuse.
Nice. Looking good.
Multi-Alti is asking, wants to know what my wife thinks of Dalmore. Since she likes Irish, I would think it might be up her alley.
I would agree.
She did kind of go through and taste the ones we lined up. The 18-year was her favorite. She's already gone through. Luckily, she left me some, which sometimes she does not do that.
It's funny. 18 is for me the sweet spot. I jokingly tell people, everybody's got to either have children or are part of being a family in some capacity or another. And every parent says that I love you all equally, but really they got that one kid that they like more than anything else in any other. But 18 for me is always going to be my sweet spot. So one I go back to pretty consistently. I know that. My wife also likes 18. It's one of the only whiskeys that she'll actually drink. So,
really, very cool, very cool.
So the relationship, a little bit more. Go ahead.
Tell everybody Ben, before you go, tell everybody where to find you. I know you got Instagram, Twitter.
Instagram, definitely Whiskey Benjamin, obviously no E, Whiskey_Benjamin on Instagram. Twitter, I try to stay away from. It's more so that I just don't have the time in the day to do multiple different formats. But if you find me, it's going to be the easiest way to actually track me down.
Got it.
What's your username on Instagram?
Without an E, _Benjamin.
Whiskey_Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Yeah,
all right.
Makes it easy.
Very nice. We have Bianca Espinoza. There you go. You've just highlighted it. $9.99. Very nice.
Love it. The Scotch Girl on Instagram, if you want to follow her.
Oh, is that Bianca? Okay. Yep. I know her page.
Beautiful.
So,
all right, Ben. Well, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Good luck with the drive tonight. I'm excited to see what kind of numbers you guys pull in.
Thank you,
Ben. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. See you, brother.
Thanks.
All right. Now we've got Zach Andrews at $14.99 in honor of my wife, Sarah. Praying for the safety of all of our frontline workers. Great. There's Zach. Look at that. Of course, Zach's was at our 5th anniversary. He's wearing the T-shirt, or you could also have bought that T-shirt if you couldn't make it to the 5th anniversary.
Yeah, he bought the ticket for it and didn't make it.
Exactly.
I'll bring Jenny back in.
Beautiful.
Hi, guys.
Boom.
Gosh, what a pleasure it is to have all of my colleagues out here doing a tasting. And I just wanted to give a little shout out. I think it's really funny. I'm able to watch the live chat while other people are speaking. And I'm getting all of these amazing call outs to, whiskeys like Glendronach and Redbreast. And there's just so much love floating around. And, I think it's funny sometimes in my single malt world, I think a lot of people think that I walk into a bar and there's like a Macallan rep, and then we do like a dance fight because we're rivals. And that's not true at all. The joke here is actually most of us know each other and we highly respect and adore our colleagues. And one example of that, and I'm a little emotional, I just got a Facebook message from Simon Brooking, who I absolutely adore and has been a friend and a mentor to me. And I think is one of the most talented men in the single malt game. So Simon, I miss you very much. I hope soon we get to drink a Lefroy together. That would be a pleasure. But I just wanted to check in. I can't tell on your end if Alistair is logged in yet. But in case he hasn't, I wanted to add a little something to Ben's talk. And one of the things at Dalmore that is fairly consistent is that when we source barrels, whether it's from Heaven Hill or it's from another American distillery, we do tend to use a standard char for. A lot of people that do source American barrels, what they tend to do is they might alter that or ask for a different char level or ask for a specific char level, but we really do stick with that standard char for because that traditional American whiskey barrel is exactly what the Dalmore is looking for.
Speaking of char, I got hot. I took off the jacket. Now it's just T-shirt.
Oh my gosh! Well, I was not going to wear pants, but then I realized you could kind of see the second half of me, and that wouldn't be good for prime time.
Yeah, the viewership would have spiked. We would have just blown up the internet.
Right. Totally understood.
We've got Wes Jolly commenting from Colorado Springs, and Simon was on earlier and giving you compliments through the comments as well. So yes, we saw Simon commenting. Yeah,
he's simply the best. I've known him for many, many years. I think I met him a long time ago at Whiskey Fest, New York City, which is one of the first large-scale whiskey events that I ever did.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to meet Simon in Kansas City, and we hung out with him, and we filmed a few things and did a kilt crawl that was a blast. And we and then even hung out afterward and just had a ball, just sitting down and just chit chatting.
Yeah, he's I remember one time there's a wonderful whiskey bar that is down in San Jose, California called 55 South. I love those guys. They have an incredible collection. And I got to see Simon strut his stuff there one time. So it was such a gift. So I think since we are holding for a second for Alistair, we might plow a little bit forward and I'll drop some Dalmore facts. But yeah, do we have an update on how much money that you guys have raised?
Let's see. We got Amy there.
Yep.
See if we get a total. Stuart, 20.
Oh my gosh.
25.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're
Also,
rolling in.
if you guys tonight, with this mega tasting from the Dalmore team, if you were to set a goal, what is your fundraising goal for the evening?
$10,000.
$10,000. Oh,
No,
that's
no.
a good, hey, aim high.
Pretty good, I suppose.
You'll probably hit it. We're usually, we've always been just astounded and awed at the giving that happens in the whiskey community. So, yeah, I mean, you know, we ran a fundraiser for a buddy of ours that got cancer, and that thing just blew up, and we were stunned. So I'm already, quite honestly, the numbers we were hitting in the first 5 minutes were stunning.
It's incredible. You know, it's funny. I started my career, you know, in the, I guess you say the alcohol industry in wine and champagne. But once I got my first taste of whiskey people, I realized that whiskey people are the best people. And I never wanted to look back. And people still ask me, you know, would you ever work for a rum or a vodka? And I'm always like, I don't think so, because man, whiskey people, salt of the earth and really giant hearts.
Look at this, some more love from Norway, from Espen here. Thank you, Espen.
Awesome.
And Alistair is here. He's in the background sitting here.
Wonderful.
Waiting
So
patiently.
Alistair is a true Scotsman. I cannot wait for you guys to meet him. He is smart, funny, and most of all, really into physical fitness. So if you have any questions about how Alistair stays fit, I'm sure he's happy to share.
Wonderful.
All right, well, Jenny, I'm going to put you back in the background, and we'll bring Alistair in.
All right. I'm ready for Alistair. Alistair.
Good evening, gents. How are we?
Hello, sir.
Doing wonderful. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good. We've been through the Dalmore 12 and the 15th, and we're looking forward to the 18 right now.
Perfect. Great. So that was the warm-up then, was it?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Good. Well, thanks, gents, for having me. I do appreciate being on your show tonight.
We appreciate you and Dalmore helping out.
Yeah, and the whole
Least
round
we can do.
table. Yeah, the round table's awesome here.
Perfect. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Dalmore, and then we're going to sample the 18. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. So if I'm talking about the Dalmore, I've got to start off by talking a little bit about Richard Patterson. An icon in the industry, master distiller. He's from Glasgow, my hometown. He does have a better moustache than me, so I do have moustache envy. But he's an incredible man, big heart, very passionate. If you've ever seen any of his YouTube videos or met him in person, big heart, loves people, loves telling stories, and he's pretty skillful, as you're soon to find out when you taste the 18 year. You know,
and he likes to throw his whiskey around.
He does, and he does talk about he owns the most expensive carpet in Scotland. So you don't want you do or you don't want to be sitting in the front row at one of his events.
You bet. Yeah, you'll be catching.
Which actually, if you've seen his show, you actually probably want to be in the front row. You know.
That's right. Now you already got Claire the Third says you look like you could take on Conor McGregor if you were in the octagon.
Well, Conor's been ducking some of the fights, so maybe next time.
There you go.
There we go. So a little bit about the Dalmore. The distillery is located on the lovely Cromarty Firth, 20 miles north of Inverness in the Highlands of Scotland. So this is a Highland single malt. We get a crystal clear water from Lochmorrie, about 11 miles from the distillery. It flows down the river Avron, right down to the distillery and into the Cromarty Firth. So a great location. It was picked for the water source and also the fertile soil that grows incredible barley. So, and for all your Gaelic fans that are viewers of your show, Dalmore means big field in Scottish Gaelic. So,
excellent.
I wanted to make sure your Gaelic viewers were properly educated there.
You bet.
Awesome.
They'll love it.
I'm sure they will. So at the Dalmore, and with a lot of Scotch whiskies that have used sherry wood in parts of a lot of flavour in the whiskey, you either mature Scotch whiskey for full maturation in sherry casks, or at the Dalmore, we do more of a finish. Or as Richard would say, more finesse. He talks about finessing. And what that means is the dominant flavour is coming from the previous fill, that lovely sherry wine that probably Jen and Ben have already talked about, where typical finish is 6 to 8 months, but we like to finish for longer than that, and it really integrates the whiskey and gives it a very complex. And as you probably know, the Dalmore is a very sumptuous and layered whiskey. So this is the bolder version of the 12-year. So you had the 12-year earlier. I would describe this as the big brother of the 12-year. So formidable, but at the same time, just as memorable.
I get a lot of tropical notes.
A lot of tropical notes. A lot of people pick up that kind of dark chocolate and orange note, which is very common. It's the kind of DNA of the Dalmore, very prominent in the 12-year. Put that to the nose. I pick up some cinnamon notes. And then when we taste, and before we taste, as we say in Scotland, Slangiva. Slangiva.
Mm. Very nice.
Bit more of that spice coming through, kind of a licorice, nutmeg note. You know?
Yeah, the nutmeg, the tropical flavors.
Definitely the darker sherry notes, where the 15 went a little bit sweeter, a little bit lighter, a little bit more citrus. More of the to me the usual darker sherry notes showing up.
Yeah, this is a bolder expression, you know. My esteemed colleague, Mr. Craig Bridger, who's coming on your show later, he would describe this as a muscle car of a whiskey.
Mm.
But, you know, Craig lives in California. He's cool. I'm not quite that cool. So I would describe this more as a muscular and proud 350-pound royal stag strutting across the Highlands of Scotland.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah, wonderful.
Now, this one, the 18 is 43%, correct?
Yeah, 86 proof.
It feels a little heavier. It feels 46. Yeah, that's really got nice finish.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's probably, the 18 years, I'm sure, is helping the finish as well. Just that the cask influence is really helping it to hang on.
Absolutely. I mean, as Jen and Ben probably mentioned already, you know, initially those ex-bourbon cask give us a lovely kind of canvas of soft vanilla and honey notes. And then with a full 4-year finish in that 30-year-old Methuselah Oloroso sherry really brings that boldness out, where we pick up that cinnamon, that nutmeg, the spice. Just bold and formidable. Beautiful whiskey. And I love seeing that from Eric. He just picked up my first bottle of Dalmore 12. Absolutely loved it. Good for Eric. I like that.
Beautiful.
Did you see Simon Brooking asked if you had any recommendations for food pairings?
Mr. Brooking, I did see Mr. Brooking. Hi, Simon. Good to see you. Good to hear from you, buddy. Food pairings. Well, for people who know me, I've got a sweet tooth. So for the Dalmore 18, a lot of people go with the entrees, you know, the beef, the venison, you know, the fish like salmon or sea bass. But I lean more to that dark chocolate and orange. As I say, I've got a sweet tooth. I like my desserts. So caramel, salted caramel, toffee, something like that.
I like the way you talk.
Me too.
Yeah, my wife is agreeing with you over here too.
She's a smart lady.
Yes. I love the salted caramels.
Who doesn't like some salted caramel? And the 18-year works a treat with that.
Beautiful.
So, Alistair, where are you located at?
So I'm in sunny New Jersey.
Oh.
Absolutely. I've been here for a year. So hunkered down here in New Jersey, loving it. New Jersey got about, I guess, a lot of bad rap from a lot of people, but I've had a great time here. Been here just over a year. Loved it.
You don't sound like you're from New Jersey.
Yeah, I would not.
I'm just outside Bentonville in Arkansas.
Yeah, I would not have picked Jersey. I was thinking, I don't know where I was thinking.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I'm in Jersey. So I'm from Glasgow, Scotland, which is where Hyde Mackay is based and where Richard Patterson, that's his hometown as well. So, as I say, so that's where I'm from originally, but been hunkered down here in New Jersey for a year now. So loving it, really enjoying it.
Beautiful. And Eric just came in with a $9.99 super chat as well. Cheers to the nurses, heroes. Highlighted.
Good for Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
And where are you, James, then? Where are you? Scott, where are you, Bart?
Yeah, we are both right in the heartland. We're both in Wichita, Kansas.
Nice.
Pretty much dead center of the country.
Excellent. Chiefs fans, are we?
No.
Oh, no. Oops.
Yeah, no, they just won. We're definitely deep in Chief territory, but I actually grew up in Denver, Colorado, so I'm a big Broncos fan, and Scott grew up in a small town in western Kansas, closer to Denver than KC, so same.
Oh, all right. Well,
yeah.
Go Broncos.
Yeah, they've had a little rough lately, but we'll see.
Absolutely. Here's a wee creation coming from Wes.
Wes Hagen, he says, I've been told Scotch over 12 years loses the regional character of the region. Agree?
Agree. I think the regionality of Scotch whiskey's kind of diminished over the years because historically they distilled how they've always distilled, but over time a lot of the distilleries are now trying different finishes, different types of casks, and so those lines have been blurred. So I wouldn't say necessarily over 12 years. I would say in general that terroir in reference to Scotch whiskey has diminished over the years. Everybody's experimenting, trying new flavors, peated, unpeated, different types of casks. So that kind of delineation has disappeared to an extent, although the core expressions of most of the big whiskey distilleries still hold true to their character.
Sure. And for those that missed it, Claire III's a huge Broncos fan, goes back all the way to the Elway days in the drive. So if you see Claire III, loves the Broncos.
Well, can't argue with that, you know?
No, can't.
I think Bart's pulling a quick one there.
No, Claire is Mr. Positive. Usually when Claire posts, it makes you feel good inside.
Well, that's good. I like to show you've got the blue glassware. I'm very impressed here. I got online when Glen Cairn, it was Black Friday right after Thanksgiving when they put up the black Glen Cairns for sale. Yep.
It was just a Black Friday flash sale, really.
Okay.
And their website was just mobbed with traffic. It was terrible. You couldn't get in there to order anything. So I kept messing around, and I noticed they had the blue Glen Cairn Copitas.
I like it.
So I ended up Instagramming them, contacting them on a DM via Instagram, or the IG, as Bart likes to refer to it.
Sure. Yeah, I love to use all the little shortcuts.
But since we recorded, do what, Alistair?
I said that was very impressive. I'm just worried here. I've got Copita envy with you, Scott.
Well, I got a couple of these nice ones too that you'd recognize.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
They're coming up. I got the King Alexander and the 25-year in those.
Oh, that's still to come, is it?
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Oh, look at that. You're leaving the best to last then.
Yeah,
Eh?
the cigar malt's coming as well.
Oh, you boys have had a treat. What a night, eh?
So how does Alistair, who is from Glasgow, end up in New Jersey hawking Dalmore whiskey?
Being a Jersey boy.
Somebody had to do it. I'm just kidding.
A Glaswegian in Jersey.
You know, it's funny how you end up somewhere, but as I say, I've been here just over a year and absolutely love New Jersey. They talk about Jersey strong. People in New Jersey are great. And okay, in the last year, I've eaten more carbohydrates in the last year than I have in my whole life. Bagels, pizzas, pastas, but some good cooking here in Jersey, and the people are good, nice people.
You bet. You bet.
Know? So, I to be honest, I would work anywhere for White Mackay. It's my hometown whiskey. I'm from Glasgow, where the company is. So maybe Kansas. I could work in Kansas. Any space in Kansas, gents?
Oh, we'd love to have you. Oh. Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Not a lot of whiskey companies around, though.
We need it. We
could plant the flag, eh?
Plant it. Now, how long have you been with White Mackay? I made how many years?
Just over a year. Hence, they nicely asked me. My manager Nicholas nicely asked me to relocate to New Jersey for the position.
Beautiful.
Moment of weakness. I said yes. No, just kidding.
You got to miss, though. It's a whole different kind of football once you landed in Jersey.
It is, yeah. Well, yeah, the football's, yeah, not doing
yes.
Well.
Yes.
Hey, a reminder real quick for those watching and making donations for the American Nurses Association. When we're done with the whiskey tasting, we got a couple items we'll be auctioning off as well. A complete coin set of ours, a separate one from Roy Aquavitae that he donated. We've got a merchandise gift bag of ours as well. And then anybody that donates $10 or more is registered for a Dalmore gift bag from Bart and I as well.
Right.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. Fantastic.
Well, thank you. Thank you for helping, really.
Oh, not at all. I would just be watching Netflix or something like that at the moment. You know what I mean, Scott? So
you're watching that Tiger King guy, or what is that guy?
No, I've not got into that. I know a few people have. I'm in Ozark at the moment. I'm all over the Ozarks.
Got it. Very good. Very good.
So,
well, Alistair, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, gents. It's been an absolute pleasure. Appreciate the support. Loved having a whiskey with you. Next time, I'll be there.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Slan Shiva.
Slan Shiva. Yeah.
Slan Shiva, gents.
Thank you.
I'm going to put Alistair in the background and bring Jenny back in.
Jenny.
Hey guys. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how much fun it is to have Alistair on our team. I mean, he is just a riot, and he's been in this whiskey game for a very long time, and I always appreciate the things he has to say, especially the tasting notes, because sometimes, you know, I think we get wrapped up in like, you know, talking about the ABV or all this stuff, and sometimes we forget to just, you know, stop and smell our whiskey. I'm just loving this feed. The gift of doing this with you is, as I'm coming on and coming off, I'm getting to actually read all these comments, and I'm getting so many beautiful comments and exciting stuff. My first glass of Dalmore was King Alexander. I was spoiled. I love the Dalmore. I had the 12 for the first time. I'm just so glad that you guys enjoy this whiskey. I think it's a very approachable and friendly whiskey, and it's such a pleasure to get to drink it on a regular basis. That being said, I think that we are beginning, remember this is a vertical tasting, we're moving into some of our no age statement whiskeys, but keep in mind, even though the whiskeys that are upcoming don't necessarily have an age statement, they are moving up in age. We can't necessarily say the age, but they are moving upwards and upwards and upwards. And I think that we're about to transition to my colleague in the West Division of the Single Malt Specialist team, Cristian Olave. And I cannot say enough good things about Cristian. When the team went to Wren in January, Cristian was my Spanish interpreter, and I just appreciated him so much because he allowed me to really fully experience having conversations with wonderful people in Spain and understanding what was going on when people were using their native language. I also want to give a big shout out for a second to my colleague Nicola Risk, who is in Madrid currently and is self-quarantining. Nicola works for Edrington and represents the Macallan. She is a true gem and has offered me so much support while I am home self-quarantining as well.
Wonderful. Not the self-quarantine, but I first of all, what a great place to self-quarantine in, Madrid.
Beautiful city.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm just moving right along with you guys. As each of my talented colleagues comes on, I keep upping my game. So I've now poured myself a Dalmore 18, and it is quite good. You know, one of the funny things about this tasting is we're leading up to our head of education, Craig Bridger, who's been a friend and a colleague of mine for almost a decade. And one of the things that Craig likes to say about the Dalmore 18 is it's very redolent of actually standing at the distillery and smelling that mustiness, that sea air that is blowing across the Dalmore. And I can't wait to actually get to experience that for myself. Weep, weep, cry, cry.
Well, and Cristian is here, our next host. And
awesome.
He's in the background here, ready to go. So I'm going to put Jenny in the background again.
Jenny!
And there's Cristian. Cristian, welcome. Oh, no sound.
We're checking on sound real quick, Cristian. Un momento.
No, it's he's unmuted, but I don't know if he's got his input turned down or if he's muted on his device.
We'll check.
Can you hear us, Cristian?
All right. Thumbs up if you hear us. Okay, yeah. He's got us. Let's see. We're not getting you just yet on audio. It could be. Let's see.
Just check your device and make sure you're not muted on your end, Cristian.
Take a quick peek here. I love your background. Look at that. Everything's tiered out. Love it.
Now, it's worked good in the test run.
We're all right. Got the buds in. Still no audio yet.
Still nothing.
That's all right. We'll work through it. Like I said, just looking at the layout in the background, I'm loving the layout for Cristian. Looks like we're going to get a refresh here, which is totally fine. You know, if we would have gone through this without at least one sound issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of live streaming.
Yep.
I think what's so funny is there's just been such a quick and uncomfortable learning curve using technology from everyone. I mean, as you can imagine, in the last couple of weeks, my job has turned from, consistent live tastings and speaking to people directly to learning to use GChat and Zoom and film things in my apartment. I'm very lucky. My husband is actually a producer, so he's been assisting me a little bit with creating some Dalmore educational films. And God bless the man, he is very patient.
Wow. Now I like Multi-Alti wants to know why we're not wearing ties.
I know. I feel underdressed to everybody.
We're the dummies.
There you are, Cristian. Can we hear you? Oh no, we still can't hear you, sir.
There's something. I don't know what it is. It could just be a glitch, Cristian.
We're a little ahead of schedule, so it's okay.
We are.
What I try this, Cristian. Just leave the stream. Click leave studio, go back, and then just click and come back in, and we'll try that.
Sometimes it'll be a glitch just with the entry.
Yeah. And that's why we have Jenny on standby here too, if she needs to fill in.
Well, I don't want to tell tales, but I think that anytime we do a live stream, it's a really fun time to talk about kind of like who the team is. And there are 3 people on this team that have a background in performing arts or acting, and that's myself, Cristian Olave, who's about to come on, and Craig Bridger. We've all strutted and fretted upon the stage at one point in our lives. And I think it really prepares you for dealing with something that is happening live. I was also going to address, since we have a couple minutes, some of the questions that are coming through. Oh, I've actually lost the live stream on my own phone. The people, there were a lot of people that were talking about cask strength. And I'm going to at the risk of getting, you know, my ass handed to me, insert my opinion into this conversation. Well, you know, it's like when there's a lot of people who love whiskey, people have strong opinions, which I think is a positive thing. We are often being asked as specialists for the Dalmore, why doesn't the Dalmore release more cask strength? And I think it really is a valued question. And I think sometimes people equate price and ABV. And they think, well, you know, if something's a lower ABV, why is it such a high price? Or why won't you release a cask strength? Or are you afraid of releasing a cask strength? And I think the first thing that I'd really like to impart, you know, upon the people that are watching tonight is that our master blender and most master blenders are often not considering cost when they think about cask strength. And I know that sounds like a line of bullshit, but the truth of the matter is, when Richard chooses to make something 40% ABV, it's because 40% ABV is the best possible ABV for the flavor that he wants to impart to that whiskey. It's not really about cutting corners. But I will tell you, all of us on the Dalmore Single Malt Specialist team, we do enjoy those slightly higher ABV whiskeys, and we do look forward to trying them. And there's a rumor that some might be coming out. So hang in there.
Cristian, do we have you now?
I hear you. Can you
There
hear
we
me?
go.
There you
Beautiful.
are, sir. Yes.
Fantastic. Technology works in the year 2020.
Yes.
All right, see you in a little bit, Jenny. We'll bring you back in.
Cheers.
Thank you, Jenny.
All right. Good to have you in, Chris.
Oh, so happy to be here with you guys. By the way, isn't Jenny just awesome?
Yep.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Yep.
Awesome.
Doing great.
Awesome.
Doing great.
How's the drive going thus far?
Really good so far. Yep. We hit $1,000 a little bit ago.
Like 2 minutes in, I think we hit 1,000.
Well, no, it wasn't that quick.
Okay, it was a minute. It was a minute 58.
That's really good, though. We really appreciate what you guys are doing, and we're happy to help you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, and we're happy to be able to help the Nurses Association as well. So,
Yeah, it's a good cause.
We're probably around 1150 right now. So total 1150.
very, very nice.
So I've been, I've been watching a little bit of what my colleagues have been talking about. You guys seem to be all caught up on the Dalmore.
Yes.
Have you enjoyed it thus far?
Oh, definitely.
You bet. Yeah.
Awesome. So,
Now, which
sorry,
are you
guys, go
going to
ahead.
lead us into? No, I stepped in on you. So you're ushering us in. Where are you taking us?
So we are going to be tasting what in my experience and also just sort of known in the Dalmore world is one of the favorite expressions of the Dalmore, the venerable cigar malt.
Mm-hmm.
The cigar malt, as I'm sure you guys are aware, has seen different iterations during its existence. I mean, the original cigar malt, if memory serves me right, came out back in 1999. It was then discontinued in 2009. And then we saw the Gran Reserva. Are you guys familiar with Gran Reserva?
Yes.
I am not.
Awesome. Yeah, so that one came out in about 2011, which brings us to the one that we're going to be tasting tonight, which I have right here. By the way, I am using as my little placeholder there. Do you guys recognize that?
Oh.
Yep. Looks like the Dalmore Stag.
Yes.
It is the closure to a bottle of Dalmore 45.
Oh,
Really?
Which we will not be tasting tonight.
oh,
I don't believe.
Yeah, the closest I have, which is way bigger, is this coaster.
That is a beautiful coaster. As a matter of fact, when I look over here to my left, I have you guys on the big screen. So on the phone here, it's a little hard to see, but when you show it there, I see it perfectly. Where did you get that coaster, by the way?
It may have found its way to me just from
in the
Jenny.
middle. Yeah.
Jenny. Jenny is kind.
So I just, kind of told you guys a little bit about, the history of Cigar Malt, the original, then the Grand Reserva. The big difference between that original Cigar Malt and that Grand Reserva and the Cigar Malt Reserve, which is what we will be tasting tonight, is an extra step in the finishing. The original Cigar Malt and that Grand Reserva were originally finished exclusively in Matusalem Oloroso sherry casks. But this new Cigar Malt Reserve actually takes one extra step, and it's actually finished in the Premier Cru Cabernet Sauvignon barriques. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Do you guys want to go into the tasting? Are you guys prepared, ready? Do you guys have your drams of Cigar Malt there?
We have it ready, and I'm interested in the change because years ago I had a Cigar Malt, and it was my favorite expression from Dalmore, but I wasn't aware of these finesse changes.
Yeah, it's easy to call it a subtle change, but the different in profiles that it imparts is it's rather noticeable. I think that if you were to taste them all side by side, starting with the original Cigar Malt from 1999 through the Grand Reserva and into today, you would definitely notice those nuanced differences. So I don't know if any of my colleagues have done this before. We start with the nosing, obviously. Some people like to look at their whiskey. It's very important to just look at it and be in awe and admiration of it. The one tip that I would give your viewers at home, if you want to look like professionals while you're doing this, we are whiskey professionals, so you're actually getting to know a little bit of the secrets of the trade, as it were. When you are looking at your whiskey, don't just look at it like this. That's amateur. If you want to be a pro, you have to do this.
I was going to say, the way you're looking at your whiskey is the way I look at mine every night.
Right.
Yep.
Well, you would be surprised what a difference just, holding your chin and looking at it lovingly will make.
Makes for a good picture too.
That's right. All right, so let's go with the nose on the Cigar Malt. I also recommend, and this is, we all have different ways of nosing whiskey. What I like doing is actually putting my nose, one nostril, the other one, and then actually I don't breathe in or I don't breathe the whiskey in through my nose. I actually breathe through my mouth. So I'm going to exaggerate the motion a little bit. It's something along these lines, air coming into your mouth. Why? That way you get all the nuances of the whiskey, and you don't get those alcohol fumes going up your nostrils. So all right. And I don't know, I mean, to me, Cigar Malt, besides the fact that all Dalmore whiskey has every expression of Dalmore, has just a beautiful nose. But on here, I mean, you're gonna get really nice cinnamon, vanilla, some interesting dark fruit notes, maybe like figs, dates, a little bit of raisins happening there. It's quite malty too, and if you look, I mean, if you really focus, a little bit of a minty chocolate, if you can, think of that like minty chocolate idea. It's all right there. What do you guys get?
That's funny. I mean, it could be the suggestion, but you're right. The minty chocolate, it's that faint mint.
I don't get the mint necessarily. I mean, everything else, yes.
I get that.
Yeah, look almost, Scott, look for maybe like a spearmint, Imagine that you just cracked open a pack of Wrigley's gum, and that sort of spearmint still left in the air.
Yeah.
It's very subtle.
He likes the extra spearmint.
Yeah. And they also make cinnamon too, so that would be there as well. Yeah.
I see exactly what you're saying.
All right, you guys ready to taste?
I have to.
All right. Slanja. There it
Slanja.
is.
Won't you?
So let's give it a taste here. By the way, what I recommend doing here is the first one, kind of throw it away. Don't think about it too much. Just, give it a sip. Let it go down. We're not going to think about it. And on the next one, we're going to try and decipher what this whiskey's trying to tell us. It's big, it's bold, it's rich. A little bit of tropical fruit happening. Maybe a little bit of a banana toffee. If you took a torch to a creme brulee, maybe, and you get those kind of caramelized sort of vanilla notes, maybe a little bit of vanilla ice cream going on as well.
Very nice.
But I'd love to hear what you guys get.
No, I agree. It's bold. It carries some. I get some of those like nutmeggy kitchen spice kind of boldness to it as well. Very velvety.
Yeah. The finish is it's quite spicy. It's got those kind of ginger, licorice, a very light oakiness to it. A big orange zest, like it just pops. Little dark chocolate happening there, but yeah, it's got a really beautiful spice on the finish as well.
I say a milk chocolate on a Granny Smith apple. It's a little tart. Some of those sherry fruit influence. Sure, yeah. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, that's definitely there. To talk a little bit about how we get to this flavor profile. So we have a whiskey that spends a considerable amount of time in barrels. You're looking at whiskeys that are mature between 12, maybe upwards of 20 years old, and then a little bit of that whiskey. Well, obviously, all of it goes into a former bourbon cask, which is the norm for Scotch whiskey for the most part. But some of it stays in that Scotch cask, and then some of it goes into a Matusalem Oloroso sherry cask. This is a 30-year-old sherry, and I know that some of my partners have been talking about Matusalem sherry. This is a sherry that comes from González Villas, made by the famous winemaker Antonio Flores. The other half goes into those premier cru Cabernet Sauvignon. But, Richard Patterson, and I know that a lot of people have been talking about Richard Patterson tonight, and, I always joke that when you're drinking Cigar Malt, it's easy to think that you may be drinking Richard's personal stash. This is a whiskey that he designed to be enjoyed with a cigar. It's funny because a lot of times people think it's like, oh, was there tobacco involved in making Cigar Malt? It's like, no tobacco was ever used. It's just that Richard designed it to enjoy with his cigars. He's an avid cigar smoker, and eventually, my guess is that he was like, all right, this is good enough. Let's release it. In any case, those Cabernet Sauvignon barrels, just in the same way as Richard is very obsessive about where his port barrels come from, and you're gonna get to hear Jenny, I believe, in a little bit, talk about our Portwood Reserve, and she'll tell you about the port casks, the port pipes, as it were, that we use on those on the Portwood Reserve. Just as obsessive as he is on getting the best barrels from González Villas, it's the same way with those Cabernet Sauvignon barrels. And I'm going to let you in, guys, in a little secret that is not often advertised. You won't find it on the back of the box. But Richard, through a relationship with Henry Dubose, who is the winemaker at Chateau Haute-Marbeuzou, he sources those wine barrels from that amazing winery located in Saint-Estèphe in Bordeaux, France. It's one of those left bank Bordeaux, further west wineries. But again, in keeping to the Dalmore tradition of sourcing only the best available casks. Those are the casks that are used for Cigar Malt Reserve. Cheers.
Well, I did. So cheers real quick. So I was drinking, and we've had a progression as we're going. We're getting better, and so I had the 18 originally, and I thought the cigar malt isn't gonna hold up to the 18-year-old. So while I had the camera focused on you, and I probably shouldn't say this, I went back to the 18. The cigar malt is giving the 18 a run for its money. Quality wise, I mean, taste wise and everything, I think, but it's a cheaper. You probably don't want to tell people go buy the cigar malt. It's as good as the 18 because it's cheaper.
Well, you're gonna get different experience from both of them. I think that in my opinion, cigar malt gives you the closest line that you're going to find to those Matusalem Oloroso sherry casks, mainly because the entire batch is transferred from former bourbon onto Matusalem Oloroso sherry casks. There is nothing else that touches them. So you could literally, if you had a glass of Matusalem Oloroso sherry, which traditionally known as an Oloroso Dolce, a mixture of Oloroso and PX sherry, you can actually nose the sherry in the whiskey. On here, on Cigar Malt, yes, it does touch those Oloroso sherry casks, but the difference is going to be in those wine barriques from Haute Marbouzet. And also, very important, you're getting a little bit different ABV here. So, 44% on Cigar Malt. Yeah.
And it's not quite as astringent as the 18. It seems a little bit I don't know, like juicier and more velvety on my mouth as I take it in.
You mean just generally mouthfeel, right?
Yes, and that surprised me because usually I'll start to get sometimes depending on ABV as it goes up, I won't get as well. I shouldn't say as much because I've had some real good cask strengths where I'll get a strong velvety feel too. But yeah, to me, it's a little bit more velvety on my mouthfeel as well.
That's great. That's great. I love that. Cigar Malt, like I said earlier, a Scotch whiskey designed to be enjoyed with a cigar like the one I have right here. This is Partagas series number 4. If I were to
language there.
Yeah, if I were to light this thing in my house right now, I'd be sleeping in the garage. But later tonight, when we're done here, I intend to go outside in the backyard. I'm gonna light this puppy up in honor of you guys because you guys are amazing.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
hey,
that's language here.
Cristian, before you go, we've had a couple people comment and want you to explain those. They believe those are Spanish tiles behind you.
Right behind me, it's just some artwork that I picked up at some point in my life. It's a painting actually. It's a fairly large painting, so no, they're not Spanish tiles.
No, Alhambra.
Yeah.
Well, no, thank you for coming in and delightful. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. You guys are doing this for a great cause, and I know that I speak for myself and everyone at White & Mackay and obviously the Dalmore. When I say that we're 100% behind you, and this is an amazing cause during a really difficult time. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for helping and supporting it. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Cristian.
You got it, guys. Have a good night.
Salanja.
Slanja.
And to come back to add Jenny back in here.
Jenny! Oh,
She got her own cigar.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was back on the live feed. Let me put this out. Okay. No, I have to say, we're running a little bit ahead of time, so I'm going to be a little bit indulgent in some of the information that I'm going to pass on to you guys right now. First of all, a big round of applause for every single one of my colleagues that has come onto the podcast. I just said podcast. I meant the live feed. Ben, who is located in Miami, Cristian, who is located in Texas, and of course, Alistair. I have no idea where he lives anymore because they just keep moving his territory. Anyway, the point being, he brought up something very important for a second, and I think that we get a little indulgent about talking about whiskeys, nosing whiskeys. But there are two things that you can truly enjoy when you're nosing a whiskey. One is simply nosing the whiskey, going from side to side, trying different nostrils. I learned this from an old colleague of mine. I mean, she's not old, but I knew her a long time ago, Gina Fawcett from Diageo. If you actually close one of your nostrils, you'll notice that one side might be sweeter than the other, or one side might show you some grassier notes. From the talented David Laird of the Balvenie, I learned to do the very famous spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch, or the Stations of the Cross. So if you raise the glass, you get some bass notes. If you lower the glass, you get some top notes. And if you go side to side, again, you're playing with the different nostrils. But one of the things that Cristian just brought up was retro nasal olfaction. Let me say that one more time. Retro nasal olfaction. And the idea behind it is, if I'm holding the whiskey in front of me and sniffing, I'm getting one experience of the aromas of the Dalmore. But if I actually put some whiskey in my mouth and then I exhale through my nose, I'm experiencing the whiskey retronasally, which is how we tend to experience the smells that are in food, because we're chewing the food and then it comes backwards through the nasal passage. So to demonstrate that, it's kind of like this. Watch. I'm going to chew my whiskey.
Goodness.
And then I'm going to go. And it's really hard to do that without looking like a jerk. But you actually do begin to pick up different notes in the whiskey. And you're going to notice, as I said at the very beginning of our vertical tasting, the house style of the Dalmore is very, very redolent of a chocolate-covered orange. That orange changes. It becomes candied. It becomes zesty. The chocolate changes. It moves from milk chocolate to dark chocolate. But when you do that retronasal, you do start to notice that chocolate orange that's even present in the cigar malt, in the portwood, all of these whiskeys as we move forward. I'm going to put this away for just 1 second, though, because I was not supposed to talk about two different expressions tonight. But I am going to, because unfortunately, as I said earlier, Ricky Crawford could not join us. So you saw me talk about the 12, and now you're going to see me talk about the Dalmore Portwood. Oh yes, oh yes. Dare I say, and my brand manager is watching, this is a very sexy whiskey. And dare I say that I am part of the Nouveau whiskey community, and I do believe in mixing single malts. So I am actually drinking a Dalmore Portwood cocktail. And the reason for this is that the Portwood is, when we're talking about cask strength, this is actually one of the heftiest whiskeys that we have in our line. It comes in at a blistering 46.5%, which I know all you bourbon cask strength drinkers like 68%, but for the Dalmore, this is a lot of ABV. And what that means, when you mix it into a cocktail, you don't lose it. Not every single malt does well in a cocktail, and I would never argue that case, but this one in particular holds up very well in a variation of my favorite cocktail, the Boulevardier. What I'm drinking right now is actually what you would call a 1-1-1. So it is 1 part the Dalmore Portwood, it's 1 part Campari, and then I take the last third and I divide that third in half. So it's a 6th Carpano Antica and a 6th Luxardo. Now this is a real boozy cocktail, but let me tell you something. The Dalmore Portwood has the heft to truly hold up in something like this. But if you're going to be a purist and drink it neat, let's talk a little about the Dalmore Portwood. So you might have noticed that as we're going through the tasting, each of us tends to reference these 30-year-old Methuselah Oloroso casks. And again, that comes from that agreement that was created in the early 1900s between the Mackenzie brothers and Gonzalez Baez. So this is something that is a through line of almost every whiskey that we make. But what's unique about the Portwood, this is the only Dalmore, or the Dalmore, in our series that does not contain even a drop of whiskey that has been touched by that 30-year-old Methuselah Oloroso cask. The other unique thing about the Portwood is that it is the only one of all the whiskeys you're going to see tonight that is not chill filtered. There's a big debate about chill filtration and mouthfeel, and I think there's a lot of confusion about why people chill filter. Mainly, it's so the whiskey doesn't cloud in the glass, doesn't literally get foggy when you add water, or have kind of a cloudy consistency. Some people argue that you can chew or taste or feel in your mouth that it's not chill filtered. I personally, having drunk hundreds of whiskeys, even having drunk hundreds of whiskeys tonight, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't necessarily know from all the experience that I've had that I can just point and say non-chill filtered. But I will tell you this, in this case, this is a very, very hefty Dalmore. So when we talk about the creation of the beautiful Dalmore Portwood, what we're talking about is a whiskey that it is a no age statement. It starts its life in first fill ex-bourbon American oak. So it's going to, just like every other Dalmore we've talked about, it starts at the very beginning in that ex-bourbon American oak. But then in lieu of using sherry, we move 50% of this whiskey into tawny port casks. Now, I slowed that down for a second because I really want to focus on the fact that it's tawny port. Most people that are using port in single malt these days are using ruby port. Neither choice is good or bad. I always want to stress that. Anytime we talk about we do something different, it's not that the other guys are doing it wrong. It's simply that that is the more commonly used port. Now, when you're using something like ruby port, the ruby port is a richer, brighter, winier, berry-forward port. So in the case of using ruby port, you're going to get a port that really overrides the base flavor that the single malt is bringing. But like most of the decisions that Richard makes, he was really seeking a relationship or a conversation between the port that's used in Portwood and the DNA of the Dalmore, which is that chocolate orange. So in using tawny port, he found a port that it's a lot more tannic and it has some peanut butter notes. So if you bring that tannin and the peanut butter and unite it in a romance, or I like to say a tango with the DNA of the Dalmore, you get a complex, sweet yet tannic, dry yet nutty, rich yet citrus experience. I have to personally say, and I try not to do this because I am the mother of all dragons, but this might just be my favorite of everything we're trying tonight. Although I know that Craig Bridger's coming in with some pretty heavy hitters following me.
Yeah, that, and I wanted to say, I think Claire the Third said something, my memory's not good. I think he said chill filtering is the bee's knees, I think is what he said.
Chill filtering is the bee's knees. Yes.
I believe I quoted him 100% correctly. I almost always get it correct when I quote Claire the Third.
I just really want to stress to everybody watching tonight. I mean, I think that we get passionate about whiskey because we love whiskey, but in the end, it's all about choices, and it really is not about good or bad. Or ruby port isn't bad, tawny port isn't good. It's simply investing in what that master blender wanted their whiskey to taste like, and in this case, tawny port was the right choice. And also, much like, our cask from Gonzalez Baez or the cask that we source from, the French wine barriques in Bordeaux, we're using some of the finest port in the world. This is actually tawny port from Graham's, which is an award-winning and world-famous port creator. So we don't do anything easy or cheap. We're at the Dalmore, it's all about the finished product and the journey that we took to get there.
I can tell you just from going down the line as we've gone, this one, the nose is definitely different. Now, and I've got a bottle of the Portwood up here, which we bought when it was probably about the time when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit higher ABV. It's 46 or 48%, isn't it?
46.5.
46.5. But just as we've gone down here, the nose on this one is definitely different than the others have been.
Yeah, and it's hefty. It's a hefty pour, and we talk about the Dalmore being a very friendly whiskey, but this one, it challenges you a bit, and I think it's really designed for the sophisticated whiskey drinker.
And Claire the Third said I got it 100% right. My memory is flawless.
Ooh, nice. Yeah,
Claire is always on my side, just for those.
Yeah. I just want to say to Claire the Third, because I'm looking at the live feed up here. Bart needs reading glasses. Oh, Claire, I need reading glasses. Let me tell you, because this is a struggle tonight. I'm like, what are people typing?
Dang, I missed that comment from Claire. Usually he's so kind.
Oh, that's amazing. But I did, one of the things I want to offer up to everyone on the live feed, if you have specific questions about Dalmore process or, anything that we have down the line, like, don't hesitate to ask. We're all watching, we're all in the live feed, and we're always happy to answer any of your questions. I do want to do a really quick nosing though of the portwood. I don't tend to do nosing or tasting so often because I worry about suggesting something and then you automatically, like smelling or tasting it. I tend to be a little bit more like, what do you smell or taste? So on that note, Scott and Bart, what do you smell and taste?
Very nice. I'm gonna need to
definitely lighter fruits. You don't just, it's not that darker sherry. I'm getting a little bit of the maltiness as well coming through with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
A little bit more sour nose as well.
Well, one of the official tasting notes I find really interesting, and if you dig deep, you can find it, are chestnuts. If you roll the whiskey around your mouth, you do get that nuttiness, and that's coming from that tawny port. It's a richness, it's a creaminess, but not a creaminess like a creme brulee, more like biting into a chestnut or a walnut. Yeah. Amazing.
I get like a berry pie. I mean, if you took raspberries, blueberries, strawberries,
absolutely,
and you put it in like an apple with an apple pie crust and the cinnamon on top.
I think that's one of the reasons, this particular cocktail that I really enjoy. I am using Luxardo, and Luxardo is a cherry liqueur, right? So when you look at the whiskey and you break down the qualities that are in the aroma or the flavor or the finish, and then you enhance specific qualities in creating a Scotch cocktail, you can really rediscover the whiskey in a different way. I'm sort of curious. I can't see the live feed right now, so I don't know if people are like, don't mix your whiskey. I have no idea. But they're like, get her off. She's terrible.
No, I don't think anybody commented about that at all. So.
Awesome.
You can do whatever you want with your whiskey. That's the first rule.
Right. Oh God, I couldn't say more about that. I totally believe it's yours. You paid for it, and you should be able to drink it however you want. So I'm actually going to tell a really, really quick whiskey joke, and then I think that we're going to get our main man on the line. So everybody, we were talking about nosing and tasting, and Cristian was talking about looking at your whiskey and holding your whiskey up. This is one of my favorite whiskey jokes. Do you guys know how a whiskey ambassador changes a light bulb?
No, how?
Oh, so what you do is you just hold up the glass and the world revolves around you. And on that note, I'm going to pass this on. I believe he is online to our head of education, our main man, Mr. Craig Bridger.
He is in the background. I don't know if he's quite ready yet.
He just texted me. He said, "You don't have to rip for me. I'm on."
He gave me a thumbs up, so he's ready.
Awesome.
All right.
I could always fill with board games.
Well, yeah, we'll see you again here in a little bit, Jenny.
Cheers.
Well, the reason Bart, I think, if I remember right, Craig is into board games.
Oh yeah,
man. Right off the top, I'm getting called out for my secret nerd life. Huh?
Oh, me too, brother. Me too.
Bart has a separate YouTube channel called Bonding with Board Games, and that's how we started doing whiskey reviews. Bart was already doing board game reviews on YouTube years ago.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But I seen recently with everybody, staying at home, Craig had been posting on Instagram several board game pictures.
Oh, he's got to be playing Pandemic in these times.
It's funny you called that out. I didn't know if putting Pandemic out on the board, some people might find a little insensitive to the moment. So I thought maybe not encourage the conversation and just leave that one in the cabinet or play it without Instagram being involved. But
I love it. It's
good
empowering.
Evening, Dummies.
It's empowering.
Yeah. No, it is, and it is a great game. One of my favorite cooperative games. The collection has never come in more handy than in the last few weeks when we're all sheltering in place. But it's really a pleasure to be with you this evening. And assuming and hoping you haven't already had enough of Team Dalmore, have a couple of more whiskeys to get into with you, and it's just been such a treat for us to be here in support of such a great cause, the American Nurses Foundation, which I think is perhaps never been more relevant and more important than it is right now. So thanks for highlighting that, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And I know what the first whiskey that you're going to lead us into is the King Alexander. Just real quick, and I bought this a couple of years ago. It was one of my Christmas bottles. Really enjoyed it. Well, here Christmas Day, I opened it, and I was not that impressed with it. But what I realized later was I sat down with it a couple nights later in the quiet, once everybody had gone to bed, where I could sit down with the whiskey. Christmas Day, it was busy. You're cooking, presents, everybody around.
And his house is a hub of activity for you.
Yeah. So when I was able to sit down with the King Alexander, though, in private, in person, and really I got so many layers out of this whiskey. Amazing. What is it 6 casks, 7 casks?
Yeah, it's a 6 cask finish, the first single malt Scotch whiskey in the world to make use of 6 different casks in that finishing process.
Real quick though, Craig, the Scotch for Dummies is another YouTube channel. They had done the King Alexander early on in their YouTube channel presence, and just recently they went back to take another look at it. They said, "Is this as good as we remember it?" Our palates are more advanced now, and they sat down and they all were still blown away by it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. And I actually love your little story about encountering it, because it really is a subtle dram, a very quiet, what I would think of as a whispering whiskey. You sort of have to lean into this one. It's not going to give up its secrets easily. It's not shouting from the rooftops.
Right.
But if you take your time with it, and ideally in a moment of sort of quiet contemplation like you had there, all of the different notes that build on each other and work together in that final assemblage will really start to reveal themselves in surprising and delightful ways.
Yes.
It's fantastic whiskey. It's one that around the country in my travels, people still point out to me as being either their favorite Dalmore of all time or their all-time favorite single malt. So that's a lot of fun for us to hear. And in my capacity as a head of education for the Dalmore here in the States, and when I'm at a whiskey show with Richard, or at presentations with Richard Patterson, of course, our master distiller for the Dalmore, and master blender for White & Mackay, the parent company that owns this distillery. I can promise you, he's always got a bottle of King in one hand. He's shaking hands with one and pouring everybody drams of this with the other. And that's a man, of course, who has access to anything he'd like to show off. This is what he usually chooses to show off. So shall we jump in?
You bet.
Okay, terrific. So this whiskey, couple things important about it. One, we've already touched on, and that's, of course, the innovative, groundbreaking maturation process that really, I think, calls to mind, perhaps better than anything else we produce, the exquisite cask curation process that we're known for at the Dalmore. And I'll dive more into that in a second. But the other thing that you have to talk about when you talk about the King Alexander is, of course, the reason for this gleaming 12-point stag that we have on all of these bottles. Because both the name of the whiskey and this symbol here is a metaphorical tip of the cap, if you will, to a royal legacy that stretches back to 1263 and links the Dalmore to a pretty legendary happening in Scotland. In 1263, the King of Scotland at the time, King Alexander III, was out hunting with his lords in attendance when he was surprised by and set upon by a big 12-point stag, 12 points on the rack of his antlers, what the Scots call the royal stag. Now, keep in mind, the stag has no natural predators in Scotland, so these guys can grow to pretty prodigious sizes. The stag charged the king. Perhaps his horse was spooked and he was thrown from the saddle, but somehow he ended up, compromised, backpedaling, unprepared for this challenge. But at the last moment, Colin Kintail, chief of the Clan Mackenzie, stepped forward, felled the stag with his spear, and saved the king. Sounds like something that our marketing team made up in a conference room somewhere. But in fact, we know that it happened. It might not have been as melodramatic as I just made it sound, but something like that happened. The king certainly felt indebted because Mackenzies were given new lands and titles. He threw in a castle for good measure. Most importantly, Clan Mackenzie was given the sole right to use this symbol on their family crest, which they did proudly from that day onward, and had a new motto for the clan as well, which translated to Save the King. So flash forward a few centuries. In 1867, the Mackenzies take over the Dalmore, and the first thing they do is put their Mackenzie stag they're so proud of on the bottle. And every bottle of the Dalmore since then has featured this 12-point royal stag in some size or fashion. So that is the reason why we've named this most special whiskey in our principal collection, the King Alexander. And the maturation process, which we've already hinted at, also a story worth remembering. A real tribute and sort of a good piece of evidence for Richard's creativity and the style that he brings to whiskey making over the years. Because now we've taken a beautifully well-aged Dalmore that's already spent a long time in first fill American oak ex-bourbon barrels, and then he split it out into 6 different casks for a further finishing period to enhance the whiskey, bring out new depth and flavors. And in those 6, we're going to find that 30-year-old Methuselah Oloroso that many of my colleagues have already touched on. These special sherry casks, this is the sherry itself, the Methuselah Oloroso, are exclusive to us. Contractually, we are the only supplier that will get these casks soaked through with that 30-year-old Oloroso sherry. Lovely stuff, absolutely fundamental to the DNA of the Dalmore. So some will go into the Methuselah, some will go into tawny port pipes, some will go into Cabernet Sauvignon wine barriques from Bordeaux, some will go into Marsala, some will go into Madeira, and some will be transferred from one bourbon barrel into another first fill bourbon barrel. Richard's one of the only whiskey makers I know who will sometimes take a whiskey that's already quite well matured in American oak, and he might put it into another American oak barrel to sort of wake it up, give it a new lease on life, revive it a bit. So then we've got to look after each of those finishes separately and finally marry them all together to make this very elegant, very soft, very decadent expression of the Dalmore that really is unlike any other. And from the start of this tasting up until now, as I'm sure you guys have clocked, we've gone in order of ABV, building, and the size of the whiskey on the palate. But you're going to have to give us a little bit of poetic license here. We've got to have some drama now at this point with the King and the 25. So we're going to retreat from the Portwood, which was at 46.5, as Jenny mentioned. And now we're going to come down to 40%, but all to honor the King. So shall we have a little nose of this guy?
Yes.
On the nose, the King Alexander is initially, I think, and unique to all of these that we tasted together. Initially, quite floral. There's a little rose petal. There's going to be a hint of jasmine here, and then underneath that, as I continue to nose it, that more distinctive Dalmore, dessert tray appears in the room. But it's sort of the lighter, more treble notes, if you will. Not so much the heavy chocolate orange, but more of the butterscotch, the lightly toasted creme brulee, and maybe a little bit of tropical fruit. On the palate, so soft, so smooth. It's a gentle, slow, very creamy ride through to the finish here. So don't mind if I do. Solange guys, thanks for being here with me.
Solange. Now I'll tell you, the nose is just so sweet. It's lighter, but it's just so finessed, really. Everything. This is one I could sit and nose for 2 hours.
Indeed. Now, we've talked a lot about how soft it is and how quiet it is, but this is why it's always good to come back and taste whiskeys that you think you know quite well. And trust me, I think I know this one pretty well. It started to build through the mid palate and into the finish. It actually is leaving me with a long, pretty gripping holiday spice experience right now.
Yes.
So much so that I'm gonna drop a little water in mine and see how that might open it up and change it. What I won't do is throw any of it on the floor. That's Richard's move, and I would be loath to steal it from him. But people do ask me sometimes if I'll throw some on the floor, because that's what they're wanting to see if it's a Dalmore presentation. So now more of that pineapple note. The fruit note has gone from the kind of dried fruit and the baking spice to more of a bright orchard fruit. The citrus coming through more now.
Citrus, there's a little bit. I got a little bit of tobacco, a little bit of leather, just faint hints.
Yeah. I really get those tobacco and leather notes on that 18-year that you guys had a bit ago, where I can really be transported on the nose to one of the dunnage floor warehouses at the distillery, where that's really what the air smells like in those damp, dark, stone earthen floor warehouses where some of our best whiskeys are stored.
Yeah, cobwebs between some of the barrels.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So I got on a slightly funny note, at least funny to me. I wish that I could move this camera around, or that I had a second camera, because I'm sharing the home office here and sheltering in place with not only my fiance, but with a pretty old dog and a young frisky cat, and they've been just silence, like passed out all day. And right when I went on, they started going absolutely nuts. So I got a dog chasing a cat, and my fiance is trying to wrangle them both, and I'm just sitting here trying to stay focused right with you guys.
You're good. Now, what are their names?
What's happening back here?
What are the names of these pets?
So the dog, who's been with me for a long time, is Carver, named after the poet and short story writer Raymond Carver. That's my buddy. And then about a year ago, little Dodge joined the team. I thought she looked like a waif, so we named her Dodge after the Artful Dodger in Oliver. But now we just kind of call her Weasel because her fur kind of looks like a weasel. But anyway, they're having quite a Friday night. Not to make this about pets.
No, that's good. People love their pets, especially now. It's nice to have that touch.
So I know I've thrown a lot of information at you guys, and I know you've got some viewers here that have been interacting with you and asking questions. My phone is pretty far away from me, so I can't see if there have been any questions that I should address. But is there anything we should look at or pivot to from what we've talked about so far?
A couple people have. Okay, so King Alexander is, I believe in our area now, it's $250, $270 a bottle. And I know a lot of people always say, it's a non-age statement whiskey. It's 40%. It's $270 a bottle. Is it worth it? And I still have to say, yes, it is. It's good. It's delicious sitting here drinking it tonight. It's one of those, though, if you're in a bar and you get a dram of it at a bar, I don't think the environment is not going to lead you to appreciate it or understand what it is. This is, like you said, this is a moment of silence, when you're home alone, when it's when everybody else is in bed, when it's quiet, when the dog and the cat aren't fighting, it's that dram. And when you have it there and you get those layers, and I think you get that influence. And a couple people, I've seen a couple questions about what can you say about the ages of the whiskey? Anything you can reveal there?
Yeah, happy to go into that. And those are both totally fair questions. And you know, the question of is it worth it is a tough one to answer, because, you know, keep in mind that I spend a fair amount of time talking about products like this one right here, the Dalmore 35-year-old and hand-blown Baccarat Crystal, that we'll get, I think we're going to get 30 of these into the U.S. this year. Highly allocated, gorgeous product, using, you know, some of the rarest and most exquisite stocks we have. But that's going to be, you know, at a fine spirits store for $5,000. So when you ask the question, is it worth it with something like that, it almost becomes equivalent to when people look at a painting that a gallery is selling, and the artist and the studio is asking for thousands of dollars. Is that painting worth it? Well, it's worth it if it's worth it to you. It's worth it if it speaks to you and you want it for your collection or to drink and enjoy, then it's worth it. So it's a tough one to come at. You know, could I afford it? No, but thankfully I've managed to wrangle myself into a situation where I do get to enjoy it occasionally. In terms of the ages for the King Alexander, I have it on good authority from Richard that we're probably looking at, now keep in mind that the reason for not putting a statement on this to begin with is that when you have 6 different finishes in all those different casks, they're all going to have to be looked after differently. The stuff that's going into the Cabernet probably needs to come out in 2 years or less, or the red wine will start to overwhelm the delicate malt whiskey. Whereas the stuff that goes into Methuselah, that goes into port, is just going to seem prettier and prettier. So we might be in there for 5 years plus, right? So I all that said, I'm going to say on average, most of these whiskeys are between 20 to 22 years. Some might be a touch younger, some are going to be older than that. But knowing how Richard likes to compose these whiskeys, they're going to be in a bourbon for the majority of time. So before we move into the finishing casks. So my estimation is that all of these whiskeys that go into King Alexander are in a bourbon barrel until they're probably old enough to drive or thereabouts.
Well, and I think the magic of the Alexander is getting those 6 casks to work together.
Right. That's right. And the special relationships that it requires that Richard has and maintains to get access to these casks.
Yeah.
And to then put together something like that. These are not easy casks to acquire, which is why I think King is a great example of the creativity and the special emphasis on cask finishing that the Dalmore really has come to represent. But before I use all of my best metaphors, I gotta keep some pretty words back, because we've yet to taste together the Dalmore that has been at a minimum a quarter century in the cask here, and that's the 25. I've only got one whiskey glass here, and what I'm not going to do is throw out King Alexander. So don't do as I do, but you know, the whiskey has to go somewhere. So Friday night.
Zoom in on that one.
If Richard was here, he'd say, "Oh, it's going to be a long night, Craig." so or a heavy night. So the 25. I mean, I've led a spoiled life in my Scotch whiskey drinking and educating career. I've worked for a couple of fantastic whiskeys before this one, and I know a lot of people who are in the same line of work. So I've been fortunate to taste a lot of glorious drams over the years, and this really holds up. Indeed, I would put it on a short list of some of the finest single malts that I've ever had a chance to try. I absolutely adore this. Richard says that when he batches for the 25 year, he's actually using 25, 27, and 29-year-old casks that come together in this loving marriage to create the 25. So the 25, by a fair clip, is the youngest that you're going to find in here. Fair to say you've pretty much got 30-year-old Dalmore in this glass here.
We use we've got these challenge coins that we use as glass toppers. So the 25 has been sitting over here to the side with my coin just resting on it.
Yes.
While you were talking, I was zoomed in on you, but I took the coin off, just messing around, and I could smell the 25-year coming out of that glass.
Yeah. It's dessert in a glass. It's a whiskey that you can quite literally chew on, and I recommend you do. And it also comes with, as you would expect from us at this point, its own pretty unique maturation story. In this instance, after initial maturation in first fill bourbon barrels, and as my colleagues on the team have no doubt indicated, that's always where we start our journey. Our new make spirit at the Dalmore, always going into first fill American oak ex bourbon barrels, building our foundation there. In this instance, we're now going to make use of some casks that were an experiment from our partners at Gonzalez Baez. They took the Palomino Fino grape, which is the dry sherry grape that's going to make your Finos, your Olorosos, and they laid it out in the sun and allowed it to essentially raisinate like you would do with a Pedro Jimenez grape that makes the sweet cherries and get all that residual sugar. And they made a sherry from that. It was an experiment. Ultimately, they didn't bottle that sherry, but we got the casks. So these one-of-a-kind Palomino Fino sweet sherry casks are then employed in the 25 year. I would venture a fairly confident guess that you're not going to find those casks in use anywhere else in the Scotch whisky industry. And after that, we're going to come back out into some lovely American oak ex bourbon barrels, and then finally a 3-year flourish in 20-year-old tawny port pipes from Graham's, which you've already touched upon briefly with Jenny, although the port pipes used in the portwood are 10-year-old, are for their 10-year-old tawny. So quite a maturation biography for this guy as well, clocking in at 42%. Now, fun thing to note about this 25 is that we are in the process of transitioning to a different style of the 25 because, as you guys might have already thought of, those Palomino Fino sweet sherry casks, they didn't last forever, and there was only one set of them that we were able to get hold of and work with. And we could only purchase those so many times because Gonzalez Baez did not make that product ultimately. So we're moving into to a new version of the 25, which will be making use of the tawny port, those fantastic 30-year-old Oloroso sherry casks that house the Methuselah Oloroso, and of course bourbon barrels. But we still see some stocks of the 25 Palomino Fino sweet sherry casks in the States. This one I have here is indeed made that way, and the samples that you guys have from Jenny were made that way as well. And it says the maturation story on the back of this leatherette case that the 25 comes in. So if you're curious at home, if you're thinking you might want to indulge and get hold of one of these, you'll know which one it is by the maturation story.
Can I just get one of the cases?
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Yeah. So
the nose on this is phenomenal, Craig.
Isn't it?
Oh, my eyes are rolling up in my head.
So last year, we were lucky enough to partner with Massimo Bottura, Chef Massimo Bottura, on a special one-of-a-kind expression of the Dalmore called L'Anima that Richard created after extensive meetings with Massimo and talking about flavors, talking about their passions. And then we auctioned it off at Sotheby's in New York, and all the proceeds went to Massimo's charity, Food for Soul. And anyway, the reason why I bring that up is because Massimo's very passionate about, he's passionate about anything that he opens his mouth about, honestly, but he seems to have a lot of passion about aged balsamic vinegar, and I think has some special barrels of balsamic vinegar that he uses at his restaurant. And when I nosed the 25, especially after spending time with Massimo and hearing him talk about this, I get, in addition to that Dalmore chocolate, that fantastic orange zest, the rich coffee notes, I can identify that balsamic, that aged balsamic kind of clanging through like a bell here that doesn't really make itself evident in any of the other whiskeys. And if I was blind tasting these, that's how I would know I had the 25.
Well, and adding oak and burnt raisin toffee.
Burnt raisin. That's a great tasting note. I'm going to steal that one. Is there a licensing fee for that? Can I
Nope.
just take it? Sure. My
It's
people-
all yours.
Yeah.
You can also use a pirate ship on fire if you ever do something peated. That's free too.
Right? Maybe that those oranges that we've been talking about all night have been suddenly flambéed.
That's right.
If we ever do something peated. Well, gents, thank you for indulging all of my chat about these two unique drams, and this is certainly my preferred way to start and or finish a Friday night. I'm not sure where I am in that process right now, but thank you both for indulging me, and here's looking at you. Slán
Salangeva. Wow. Man, that is nice.
It's just it's on a whole nother level, right?
Ooh. And tropical notes kicking in at the end.
Yeah, it's still very much a vibrant whiskey with a lot to say. It hasn't just kind of like laid down into the wood, if you will.
No.
Yeah. It's one of the things that makes this distillery and the whiskeys that it produces such a pleasure to talk about. They all really have their own personality and make use of different casks for different periods of time, and that's part of what keeps this fun for us. But look, I want to acknowledge the fact that while I've only been here chatting with you for about 20 minutes, you guys have been doing this for a fair piece of time now. So I want to give you a chance to send me on my way if that's what you're feeling. If we have any questions, of course, I'm here. I'm happy to answer them. But I'm also more than happy to go off into that good night.
Now, quick question: what's your favorite board game?
Ooh. Okay. All right. I thought I was prepared for this chat, and it didn't even occur to me that we might go into board game territory. The one that my little board game crew and I have played more than anything over the last couple of years is a sort of like tactical combat game called Gloomhaven. Have you ever played that?
Sure. Frosthaven's blowing away at 7 million right now on Kickstarter.
You are correct, sir. You are right at my level. Yes.
Yeah.
I think I contributed a couple $100 of that 7 million.
I may be in on that one as well.
Yeah. So we've my little game crew has gotten hours of fun at Gloomhaven, and it always happens at my place because I've got all the whiskeys. So I'm a single host.
Now, where do you live?
I'm based in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Most of my career I was in New York City, but I'm originally from Southern California, and a couple of years ago I kind of stopped and looked around, which you don't do often when you live in New York because things go so fast, and realized that I was getting older, and so were my nephews, and so were my parents, and my whole family was still back in SoCal. So it was time to figure out a way to get back, and White and Mackay made that possible for me. So I joined the team to do that in the summer of 2016.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Scott, I'm sure you've got a board game question.
I am tallying up. We had a question come in. What's our total so far? I'm looking at it. I was going to invite and just say, Craig, if you want to hang around, you're more than welcome. I'll bring Jenny back in here. Okay. We're going to move in. I think we're done with the whiskeys. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Great 2 whiskeys to finish up with for sure. We've had through PayPal donations $1,367.84.
Beautiful.
And then with our super chats on top of that, another 150 or so, somewhere in there. So we're about $1,500 right now moving into the auction.
Nice.
That's terrific. Well, I'd like to just personally on my own steam and separate from my association with the Dalmore White and Mackay, pledge $100 for those efforts. So I'll get that to you as soon as I get off camera.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And like I say, you're welcome to stay if you want to. Jenny, you're back in.
Yes, thank you, Sir Craig. You killed it, of course.
Oh no, Jenny's silent. Can you guys hear her?
Oh, can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah. No, I can hear you.
there I am.
Okay.
I just want to say how much,
Just me.
you know, in the universe of whiskey, it's such a gift to come back to someone that you've known for so long, who is such a pillar of our community in the single malt industry. And Craig has been my friend and speaking to single malt for over a decade. So I'm so thrilled to be working with him on this team. But I you know, earlier today, and I'm hoping Craig can hear me.
Guys, I'm having some sound issues. So
Yeah, no stress.
I'll sign off so I don't confuse anybody.
Yep. Yep.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he can't hear you.
Thank you, Craig.
Okay, guys. Really, my pleasure. Have a great weekend.
Cilantro.
So earlier today, Craig, who is both my friend and my boss, did a super flex on Instagram. He was like, oh, I'm just quarantined here with my fiance eating a delicious steak. But what he didn't mention is that his fiance is one of the most talented chefs in America. So when she makes a steak and you're in quarantine, she's making a serious steak. So I'm going to do a little bit of a flex to match Craig's donation. I and my husband, who snuck behind me and drank a King on Sander while you weren't looking, I poured a Dalmore 25, little Dalmore 25 to enjoy while Craig was talking about it. And I am going to assume that maybe I poured about $100 of a Dalmore 25, maybe even $200 based on my heavy pour.
Right.
And I am also going to donate $100 from myself and my husband personally to support your cause tonight. And I also got permission to take this 25-year-old and just
Oh.
So that being said, that's my whiskey flex for the evening. But I am going to hang around for another 15 or 20 minutes and just make sure that I answer any Dalmore question anyone has, and make sure that everyone who tuned in tonight gets a chance to support the cause and ask me, I don't know, basically anything. When I started my life in the whiskey world, I used to do a thing called Stump the Ambassador. So I'm encouraging your guests tonight to try to stump the ambassador. And if they stump me, I promise I will follow up and answer their question.
First of all, I think your husband's just off camera below the table there and caught that.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, so moving into an auction, we got a few things to auction here. What? Oh, I can still talk about this, though, can I? The first thing we will auction, this is a Cask 3 coin, number 416. This was featured in our live stream with John Glazier when he joined us probably a couple years ago now. So we'll auction off, and here's the deal with the auction. Everybody that's watching, make your bids just in the chat. We have to have PayPal come in within a few minutes of closing the auction. If not, then we will relist it or run the auction again. So this is coin 416, Cask 3, featured in our live stream with John Glazier a couple years ago. We'll start the bidding on that.
And we will sign that.
And we also have a complete set of coins, Cask 1 through Cask 5, numbered 46 is the number on those. And I've been using those during this live stream. And that also comes with our 5th anniversary coin, and all future releases of coins as well are included in that. But that's coming up. That's not now. Eric B came in with a $20 PayPal. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.
Ooh.
We have our merchandise gift bag here. We've got one of our hats. We've got a dropper set, our Angel Share dropper set. Hand-blown crystal from Scotland. And you'll get a set of 2 of our rocks glasses with the Spartan helmet and the Android head. You'll get 2 Glencairns, Android's head and Spartan helmet, 2 shots glasses, Android's head, Spartan helmet, and 2 Cask 5 coins.
Holy moly.
So that's coming up. We're not doing that one yet right now, just the coin that was used with John Glazier. We're up to $30 from Zach Andrews.
Yep. Zach was in there. Good job.
We also we will draw for the Dalmore gift bag that we are supplying, as we like to say.
Yes.
A gift bag of Dalmore goodies.
And there's this comment here. Apparently, somebody named Jennifer's having so much fun.
It's been so interesting to try to like engage with the live feed, also listen, also watch my talented colleagues. I'm really becoming a multitasker of whiskey.
Very much so. Very nice.
And gentlemen, I cannot stress how much I enjoy what you do, and I feel so much a part of the community because of what you do. And it's such a pleasure to watch what everyone is typing about and talking about, and what an incredible cause. And thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Thank you definitely for joining forces with us and helping out.
Right.
Of course.
So I'm sure by the time we're done, we're going to be over $2,000. So
I hope so.
$30 on the coin. I don't see any other bids coming in. We'll give it, we'll say 2 more minutes.
Ooh,
that's the Cask 3 coin number 416.
We will.
We're on Cask 5 now, so these have been long gone. It's got the Android head on the back, blue front.
Look at that. Scott liked that one.
It's a pretty cool coin.
Yeah, he likes that futuristic Android.
We also have a set of coins from Roy, Aqua Vitae, and that includes all future releases as well. And he said whoever wins, if they make it to Glasgow or in Glasgow, he'll buy them dinner.
Yes.
And a drink.
Oh.
And there's some pretty fine restaurants in Glasgow.
Yes, I'm sure there are. Yep.
He'll buy him dinner and a drink. Trying to look at some of the comments here.
Let me see.
Rick Sanchez, here.
All right, I'll go as soon as my clock hits 10:12. We'll be done. Zach Andrews right now has high bid at $30 on the coin.
Very nice. Let's see. So has Scott, has your spouse Mandy been sampling anything else in the background?
She has been. Yep. Yeah.
Does she have one that spoke more to her than the others?
Great question.
18. She liked the 18 year the best.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And what about you guys, Scott and Bart? Did you have a preference?
I still love that cigar malt. Although I got to tell you, I've never had the 25, and I feel like I need to go. The King Alexander is great, but with all the prep of taking your time with it, I actually poured a real light pour so I can go back later and spend some time when we're not doing, one after the other.
I love that. That's perfect.
Zach Andrews, we're at 10:12, so he won the coin, $30. Make that payment to scotchtestdummies@gmail.com. That includes shipping. We'll pay for that. And then we will start the bidding for Aqua Vitae's coin set.
With the dinner and a drink.
Dinner and a drink, and it's coin set number 39.
I bet you could even work an appetizer into there.
Let's see, I got
Stuffed peppers.
I got a text from Bart. He needs a bathroom break soon, so he needs to go. He can just do it. I mean, not there. Don't go there.
Well, thank you. Yeah, hold on.
Well, guys, I hate to do this, but I'm going to sign off because my handsome husband, who has been so patient with the fact that I turned our entire dining room into a studio, has cooked dinner, and he's giving me the stink eye because it's getting cold. So I'm actually going to sign off, but I cannot express how fun this was, how much I appreciate you, and how much I'm happy to support an incredibly worthy cause. So I think what would make my experience dealing with the coronavirus challenge right now would be to fly to Wichita, Kansas and get to enjoy a dram with you. So I'm going to put that into the universe and hope that we get to sample a Dalmore together.
Beautiful. Sounds good.
Well, cheers. And thank you, Jenny, for all your support on this and helping out. We greatly appreciate it. And so does the American Nurses Association.
Yes,
of course.
So.
Cheers, gentlemen, and have the best night ever. And of course, if anyone has any questions, do not hesitate. I am at the Jennifer Wren on Instagram. You can always message me, and I will do my best to answer any question you have.
Excellent.
Sláinte.
Good night, guys.
Ooh. Ooh.
All right, so Mark Goins is bidding 75 on Aqua Vitae's coin set, and if I can, let me see. He sent me a picture. It's coin set 39. It is, yep. And then it includes, like I said, future releases, which ours do as well. I'll do a screen share here, and there's Aqua Vitae's coin set. Numbers 39, future release as well, and he will take you to dinner if you're ever in Glasgow.
And I'm betting you can work in an appetizer. I'm throwing that in crazy.
Yeah, we're up to $100 from Terry Miller and Jimmy Jazz both. Someone's going to have to.
Someone's got to do $1.
Someone's going to have to. 120 from Jimmy Jazz.
Ooh, you're ahead of me. I'm behind on the curve here. Oh, there it is.
Well, yeah, the YouTube comments show up quicker than they do in the stream yards. 150 from Zach Andrews.
Woo, go Zach. Look at that.
Zach is good. We met Zach a couple of times.
Oh, fun fella, fun guy.
Yep. Great guy. He's Houston, down in Houston, Texas. If you need to go, you can go now.
You still talking?
Thanks. Everybody wanted an auction for Mandy to make an appearance earlier. How much would it take? Do you want to auction off an appearance of Mandy on the live stream? $150, $200 from Terry Miller.
Terry Miller.
Vitae's coin set number 39.
Very nice.
All proceeds are going to the American Nurses Association.
And I got to tell you, to keep the excitement, when you finally cap it, you got to give it like a 30-second timer. No 2 minutes. It's got to be tight. They're either in or they're out.
Okay, so you're up here. I can
Yeah,
take
you finally put that timer on. There ain't no 2 minutes. Like 30 seconds.
You said we'll go 2 minutes from now. 10:16. So at 10:18 on my clock up here, official Apple time.
Just hit 225.
225 from Zach Andrews.
Yeah, but see, you got to just come in and say 30 seconds. Going once like that. You got to do that. You got to get it exciting.
250, Terry Miller. You guys hold some money now. We got more stuff coming.
Oh, don't hold. What? That's terrible. You got to tell them that they want the other stuff too.
Scotch on the Bayou Lee says, thanks for the assist, Mandy.
Yeah, there ain't no holding the money. What are you talking about? This is the only time you're going to be able to get an appetizer and a drink and dinner from Roy with a coin set. My first ex-wife was an RN.
She might lean in here. Are you going to lean in? You can see her hand.
Woohoo!
Now, see, you should have held out for an auction on that.
Yeah. There's a kissing.
10:17. I don't know how many seconds are left. I don't have a second countdowner. We're down to 250. 250 to Terry Miller on the Aqua Vitae matching coin set number 39.
I got a little timer. I'll put a little
275 from Zach Andrews.
Oh my God. I'm going to put a 15-second timer on it. Hold on.
15 second.
All right. 15 seconds. So
300 from Terry Miller.
There we go. We got it going once. Whoa, it's at 300. Wow. Yep. All right, we're down to we're going to count it. We're going to count it right now. We're going 5, 4, 3. Any more? Going once, going twice. Boom, shut down unless you got something else on yours, because I'm looking at the delay.
Well, you got to give about 10 seconds just because of the delay. So right now, Terry Miller had it at 300.
All right, 300. I still like what I'm doing. I'm doing another 10 seconds. Then this will be it. When this thing rings.
Nope. Zach gave up. Zach said, Terry Miller, you got it. So Terry Miller, make, was it $300 payment to scotchtestdummies@gmail.com via PayPal.
I got to shut her down. She won't stop.
And then we will move on. Once we get payment, we'll move on to our coin set. You want to do our coin set next? Or let's do our merchandise.
Oh, that's a big one.
And okay, so with the coin sets, Scott Adamson at Tomatin, I forgot to mention this. We should have said the bidding might have gone higher.
What?
Roy's coin set included. Terry Miller, you will get a private tour of Tomatin.
My God.
You got to get yourself there. I'm going to give your name to Scott Adamson at Tomatin. And Terry Miller, you got to get yourself to Tomatin, but he'll give you a private tour of the distillery and I believe a little tasting as well. So now that carries, though, over to our auction of our coins and the merchandise.
So what you're saying is he's going to do that for our 2 auctions of our things as well.
Yes.
Right. So you can still get in on that. Even though that was a little bit of a surprise bonus there, there's 2 more of those with that little caveat in there.
Yep. I'd forgotten that Scott Adamson had thrown that in there. So
I forgot that as well. He just did that when we went off the.
He's not going to pay for you to get there.
No.
I'll tell you what, though, when we were in Scotland, it's up by Inverness, and it's just a beautiful area. If you're ever there, yeah. And
you know, they've got a great visitor center. So, but that's worth it. So if you've got that, he'll have your name. And if you get up there, he'll give you a tour.
And still waiting for payment from Terry Miller.
That's the PayPal. Get that in, and we will move on to the next one.
We'll do the merchandise bag from us, which included, again, the hat, one of our custom patch hats. Let me zoom in here on me. So
that's a trucker hat.
It'll include our custom patch hat, one of our Angel Share dropper sets. We've used those in all of our reviews. 2 rocks glasses, Android Head and Spartan. 2 Glencairns. 2 shot glasses. We call that the Minion Pack. We got the Warrior Pack, the Guardian Pack, the Minion Pack, and 2 Cask 5 coins. All in one package. There's no starting to bid. It's whatever, $5. We're starting to bid at $5. Bart took the opportunity to go. He'll be back. Terry Miller, got your payment. Good. Thank you very much. And the America's Nurses Association thanks you as well. Oh, 500 Rod's Wood Turning Shop, $150 bid on the merchandise bag. So $150 from Rod's Wood Turning Shop. Appreciate it, Ron's. We'll give this at least 3 minutes. We'll go to 10:25 on the merch bag, the ultimate merchandise bag from the Dummies. Jimmy Jazz is at 100. We already had 150 come in from Ron's Wood Turning Shop. Jimmy Jazz. And this also includes a private tour of Tomatin from Scott Adamson. Scott said to let him know who bids on these high dollar auctions, and you'll get a private tour. He'll lead you. You got to get yourself to Inverness, to the Highlands. You get yourself to Tomatin, and you get a free private tour of the distillery, and I believe probably a tasting. $200 from Jimmy Jazz, $205 from Ron's Wood Turning Shop. The ultimate Scotch Test Dummy merchandise bag. A little bit of everything. And the ultimate merchandise bag and the private tasting at Tomatin. $205 from Ron's Wood Turning Shop. No, We'll wait till Bart gets back and I'll have him start a timer. Awesome bidding, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody's support on this. Ron's Wood Turning Shop. I can hear Bart coming back. Ron's Wood Turning Shop still at high bidder, $205 for the Tomatin tasting and the ultimate dummy merchandise bag. And then also there's $225 from Jimmy Jazz. That's the dropper set, 2 rocks glasses, 2 shot glasses, 2 Glencairns, 2 coins.
Coming in.
Bart is back. My wife actually sent me a text during the live stream that said, I am the magic pea holder, she said.
I would agree.
Yeah. She got up twice to go during the live stream.
We were about an hour and a half in, and I was like, holy moly.
All right, our merchandise bag and the private Tomatin tastings at 300. Are you bidding 300 multi-ulti? We were at 225 from Jimmy Jazz. Come on, boys. He says this has got to be worth at least $300. That sounds like a bid. We'll give Bart, start your timer for 30 seconds.
All right. This is on our merch box.
Yep, merch box and private Tomatin.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so I'm going to start 30 seconds. All right, 30-second timer has begun. Your timer is ticking down. It's at 300.
Is multi-ulti bidding 300?
I don't think he is. He's just saying it's worth 300. Where's it at?
Yeah, he's not. Okay, so our high bid's 2.25. You got Jimmy Jazz has high bid 2.25 on the whole.
Jimmy's about to get a good deal.
2.25. Going. Gone. Nobody else come in. Jimmy Jazz, 225. Very nice. Make PayPal scotchtestdummies@gmail.com. And we'll move on to our coin set.
Ooh.
Our coin set. I'll show them here while we're waiting. So there's a Cask 1 coin, number 46. Let me focus on, Cask 1 coin 46. So this is what started it all. Several years ago, Bart and I started getting these challenge coins. A lot of people have them now. This was the original Cask 1. We ordered 250, we ordered 300 of these or 250. 350. We ordered 250 and we kept the first 50 aside so we could make matching sets. So we've gone through Cask 1 and Cask 2. Each one we've always ordered more. There was, I think, 350. Cask 3, there was 500 coin.
Yep, 500, I think.
Yep. And then 750 on Cask 4. Spartan helmet.
That's my favorite.
Cask 5, we ordered 850. And we've kept they're serial numbered. We've kept 1 through 50 aside from each set. And then you also get, when you buy these sets, are from our 5th anniversary coin. The only way you got these is through these matching sets or being here for our 5th anniversary. So these are pretty rare as well. And we'll just start the bidding on that at $10.
Wow. That's an easy one.
And there came the money from Jimmy Jazz. Thank you, Jimmy Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Merch set and the private private tour at Tomatin. But you got to get yourself there. Terry Miller and Jimmy Jazz both got that. So I give your names to Scott Adamson, and he'll have you on the list.
So Ron's Wood Turning Shop's in for $100
on the Scotch Test Dummies. That's 6 coins right now, and that includes the future coins as well.
Right.
So actually, and we've worked our way down. We started with set number 50. We've auctioned off 49, 48, 47, and now the 46. And they've all been for, I think we've auctioned them all off pretty much for benefits. Maybe the first set we just did during the 12 hours of boom. Maybe, I don't remember.
That might have been one set. Yeah, I can't remember either on that.
150 from Zach Andrews, 200 from Mark Goins.
Yeah, you're ahead of me. I haven't seen those yet. That's rolling.
And Mark, we got to meet down in Austin as well. He's in the New Orleans area. Matter of fact, hope he's staying safe. Well, he's Louisiana. I think he's New Orleans. 250 from Zach Andrews.
That's moving. That's a good set. I had to get some snacks while I was up there too. Hold on. Ooh. 275.
30. What do we know?
That's Mark JG.
300.
Oh, 300. Terry Miller.
Terry Miller again.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna get 2 private tours. He keeps
Don't let Terry stomp you. Come on, guy.
Don't show fear.
They'll
know you're bluffing.
Got to go right at him. Ooh.
3 1/4 for Mark Goins.
Wow. Yeah, you're seeing it about a bit ahead of me.
Eric Evanson says it's worth it to have a shot at that PX bottle. Distillery. The distillery. Well, you can only buy it in the visitor center, so it's a distillery exclusive that to Matt and PX. I just opened up the last bottle that I have earlier today, and it's just as gorgeous as I remember. Zach Andrews, 350. 350.
All right. Should I start a 1-minute timer? We'll wait a little bit.
I'd say 2 minutes. I was impressed with the Dalmore lineup, Bart.
Yes. I need to spend some time with some of those older expressions. I was with you, and the way you explained the King Alexander and how the rush of everything going on didn't do it justice. And I felt the same. Even as I was drinking it, I felt like I couldn't, I needed to spend more time with it. All right, I'm going to start that timer. Have you seen, there's a 375 just popped in.
Yep, Terry Miller. You got the timer started 2 minutes?
No, let me start it. I was going to start it right at a minute.
Again, I thank everybody enough. Great show, great fundraising. We're well over $2,000.
All right, here we go. 57, 54. We're in that final countdown.
Oh, Zach Andrews is tapping out, he says.
Oh, okay.
Terry Miller's got it at 375 unless Mark Goins is going to snipe him out here. We just need 380, 3 or 400. Are we going in $25 increments?
Sure, once it gets that high.
What's it? So it's got to be 400?
Yes. So we're at 25. I bet you Terry's got it unless somebody jumps in there. Somebody prove me wrong. Terry Miller's got this. He's locked it down. Nobody can touch Terry. Terry has
set of 6 coins and a private tour at Tomatin.
Look at that. Yeah. 5, 4, 3. He's going to lock that baby down unless you show something different. Boom.
Just got to give it a few seconds for the live stream to catch up. They're about 10, 15 seconds behind. So,
okay.
Terry Miller, 375.
Let me let it catch up. Ooh. I'm about wore out.
Okay, so now we have the not an auction. Sorry. Mark said I'll give you 400 tonight if he can have coins 28. Do we want to?
I think we gotta just stick with what was put up for auction. Otherwise,
if Terry Miller gets 375, do we want to sell coin set 28 for 400?
I'll do whatever you want to do. I would guess the only caveat is it's what we're put up to kind of, but whatever you want to do.
Well, I about grabbed 2 sets of coins anyway. It would have been 46 and 45. Terry Miller got that set 46 for 375 and a private tour at Tomatin. Mark, if you want coin set 28, you got about a minute to send us $400 via PayPal.
You bet. It's a good cause. It goes to the nurses. So,
yep. Zach is saying, do it.
Yes. And my understanding is you still get that same tour to Matin if you get yourself there.
Sure, we'll include him. Multi-Alti says he feels like that'd be breaking the rules. Well, we're letting Terry Miller. Terry Miller won that auction at 375. Then Mark has given us another 400 for another set of coins.
That was my only concern, is that somebody would feel like that wasn't fair. So going to the nurses, I gotta admit,
not every day someone offers you $400 for a fundraiser for a set of coins. So
right, yeah, and it's going to the nurses. None of this is going to us. Matter of fact, like we were saying in the show, the super chats, they take 30% of that. We're making that 30% up, and so that's what we're even donating. So.
Let's see. I haven't seen. I need payment from Terry Miller yet. 375 for coin set 46. Yeah, Scotch on the Bayou Lee points out Zach's wife is a nurse as well.
Mm-hmm. So Ron's wood turning shop, absolutely you've got it highlighted. The best live stream I've seen in a long time. You guys are professional and interesting, and thank you for the service. Well, thank you.
I don't have any emails coming in, so just let me go check. Maybe it just got backlogged there a little bit. Let me log into PayPal.
He's got it saying, yeah, he says he sent it. So, woo.
Yep, I got Mark Goins payment, and I don't have Terry Miller's yet on the set 46.
That's right. Maybe he's working it out. Working it out. I like the little bonus there that Craig is a gamer. That was unexpected. And you'd seen that on his IG account or something?
Yeah. Yeah, he'd had a couple posts lately with whiskey and board games out due to everybody staying at home. So like, I'm gonna have to let Bart know.
Yeah, he dropped the heavy hitter there. He knew I was legit once I quoted off the current dollar figure on Kickstarter for the sequel. Yeah, that guy, man, that game designer is just struck gold. He's about to break the Kickstarter record for, I think it's the most money raised for anything. At least board games for sure, but I want to say almost anything. I think he's like 6 days in and he's just hitting 7 million. Makes me want to go check now.
I'm adding up here, so without using my calculator.
Well, you're good at that. I'd get it wrong.
And Zach Andrews is pointing out that Mark Gowen's wife is a nurse as well.
Wow.
I think we're around $3,200 total. Roughly, right in there. We'll have to wait for the smoke to clear and get everything calculated, but yep, the emails are just coming in. There's the notification on Mark's. That cigar malt is nice. I got to tell you, and somebody just commented a little bit ago about the 12 wasn't that that great. You know, the 12 years it's an entry level, and really most distilleries bring a 10 or a 12 year, Scotch for their entry bottle. They're usually not going to be that complex, not that layered or that much depth. So it really started to show in the 15 and definitely in the 18 year. But the cigar malt impressed me, the port cask or portwood, of course, and especially the 25. And we got Terry Miller's payment as well. So we're over $3,000 for sure. I think around $3,200. Very nice.
Very nice. Yeah, I just checked. So 11 days in, and old Isaac, the game designer, has $7,062,000 on his Kickstarter for Frosthaven.
Well, DH Silv says, why would you need $7 million for a board game? That's just, I mean, they didn't need $7 million. They'll start a Kickstarter and they need $200,000 to get it going.
Yeah,
they just get enough people interested in it that come in and back it and support them with the money, buy in their pledge,
right?
And they get up to $7 million.
No, yeah, his goal was to hit 500,000 is what he needed to make this follow-up sequel game, but he's at 7,062,000, and he's got 49,397 people that have come on and
wow,
purchased. Yeah, it's a smash hit. It's number one. The Gloomhaven, the first game out's been number one for a couple years in the board game geek world. So to have this sequel come out is what's driving it. So the cool part is, though, you can have an idea, which this guy did. I want to say his name is Childers, but I can't remember. You have an idea, you put it out there, the people funded it, and it ended up being a phenomenal game. And then, he's able to continue doing more and more. So that's the part I like. If you're not familiar with Kickstarter, bands will use it. So there'll be a touring band that'll need to go in the studio and make a CD or whatever. I guess they don't do that anymore. They just want to make digital music. And but what they can do is sell you a code or a CD to their music, and then that money allows them to actually pay for the studio as well. Bit of a risk when you back, but I've had a couple of them that backfired and I didn't get anything out of it. Let's see. I'm sure people want to know all about that board game world. The closest thing, actually kind of what the tribe, what the Crowded Barrel guys do, kind of reminds me a little bit of that. So you create something, at least in principle, and the people want it, so they back it. And then when you deliver, the next time you go back to the well, kind of the ability you have to deliver on the goods drives what's going to happen at your next, venture. And that's the exciting part, at least when I'm observing. And what it allows these folks to do, whether it's Crowded Barrel or a game designer, it allows you to skip the money backer. You get the money up front. As long as you plan right, you're good. Now, there was a poor guy in London that planned wrong, and he didn't have enough money to ship all the games once he got it. And he lost his house. Yeah. He ended up mortgaging his house, and then blah, blah, blah. It got all messy. He threw in free shipping, which I thought was weird. Because how in the heck do you track that? I mean, and then the shipping went up. So he made a big mistake. They don't do that now. They charge whatever shipping is to your house. So
you remember that time you read the label to the whiskey and then
that went off. That was awesome. People loved it.
Yeah, it just happened again.
Well, I was waiting on you. You
Right.
were doing math. You could have added numbers out loud.
I was doing math and I numbered everybody that donated.
Good.
So we need to do a random number. This is for the Dalmore gift bag, which there's going to be a surprise in there.
Ooh. And this is the last order of business tonight, isn't it?
Yes. So this is everybody though through the night that donated. So, and I got 50 names. Well, and I tell you what, those that bought something at auction got an extra entry.
Ooh.
So Zach Andrews got an extra entry. Terry Miller actually got 2 extra entries. Jimmy Jazz got an entry, and Mark Goins got an extra entry into this.
Look at that.
So, hey Siri, generate a random number between 0 and 50.
Now you're going to have the number 0.
Between 0 and 50 is 37.
Whiskey in the 6.
Ooh, what?
Which I'll have to see if they can ship to Canada.
Wouldn't that be a deal breaker? So should you do a backup?
Hey Siri, generate a random number between 0 and 50.
A random number between 0 and 50 is 13.
Lee Rayner. She might still be tuning in.
Well, there's the backup. First, we got to see. We got to see if they can ship to Canada.
That's for the Dalmore gift bag from us. And it'll have a surprise in it, I'm told.
It's probably like a little board game. A little bit of cardboard. Craig will love it.
I'll contact Rob Whiskey in the 6 and see if he wants the Dalmore gift bag, and if not, then Lee Rayner will get it.
He's gonna say yes.
He might not.
He might not. You're right. That's Rob.
Just like that. If I want something like that, I'd probably be like, give it to
Lee.
Somebody. Yeah, give it to Lee.
Give it to Lee. We won't bend his arm, but he's the rightful winner, but he may pass. All right, we are at 2 hours 47 minutes, and I'm going to sign out, brother.
Yeah, $3,200 or roughly $3,200 somewhere in there. We'll have to put the pen to the paper and get that all sorted out and see where we're at. But thanks to everybody, appreciate it. That's all going to the American Nurses Association, ANA. Yeah. Hopefully, it can help somebody out.
Oh yeah, they'll probably help several people out.
Yep.
So, nicely done, sir. Nicely done to everybody that stuck it in this far. Thank you. That's a long show, and for everybody that even just came in for a bit, and for all of the Dalmore professionals, thank you guys and gals. You guys are awesome.
You betcha.
Scotch it, you Scotch gods.
Sláinte, dummies.
I think I just got water left.